Strange, right? What are the chances of all these extremely high profile people showing up in public to be photographed with a black eye? Who punched them? How did they get it otherwise? In this video, we're going to go through a list I've compiled of all of the different theories I could find regarding the Black Eye Club. The first theory surrounds consciousness transfer. Lately, we've seen a huge push of this idea in our movies and TV. For example, Altered Carbon on Netflix or Replicas starring Keanu Reeves. One's thoughts, dreams, and memories are uploaded onto a hard drive to be transferred to a new host body. The idea of consciousness transfer is not a new concept. In fact, it's ancient. At its essence, the idea of consciousness transfer is the key to immortality, the ability to live forever, which is something that we know the elite ruling class has been yearning to find pretty much since the beginning of time. Ancient Egyptians believed, like many of us do today, that the consciousness separates from the physical body upon death. The Egyptians believed that the soul and the spirit were two single entities, the Ka and the Ba. The spiritual aspect of a person was referred to as their Ka. Some believe that the purpose of the pyramids was to harness the dead pharaoh's Ka and their Ba and transfer it to the new pharaoh. Think of Ka as energy. It is neither created or destroyed. It only changes. So upon your death, your Ka would remain on Earth. Ka would hold all of your genetic material and cellular memories. So if you took an object belonging to a deceased loved one to a psychic, the psychic would be picking up on the loved one's Ka. The soul, or Ba, never dies, but instead is reincarnated over and over until reaching ultimate consciousness. When the pharaoh died, the Ka and the Ba would need to be transferred together at the same time to the new pharaoh in order for him to inherit the wisdom of the dead pharaoh. This practice involved mummification, and it was believed that the Ka could be better preserved if decomposition could be slowed. Another thing I would like to point out is the symbolism around the Eye of Horus, which is commonly associated with royal power. As far as the legend goes, Horus fought with Seth over the inheritance of Osiris. Seth defeated Horus and took his eye out and split it into 6 pieces. The eye was later restored by Thoth, who spat upon it. As far as the public knows, agencies like DARPA are vigilantly working to master consciousness transfer as early as the year 2045. But could it be that those ruling above us have already mastered this? Maybe long ago? So that brings us back around to the black eye theory. Could this be a result of the procedure to prepare the elite for consciousness transfer? Possibly from a needle penetrating the pineal gland, which is thought to house the soul? The next theory, I'll be the first to admit, is pretty wild, but let's take a look anyways. In October of 2012, a letter surfaced on an internet message board detailing a harrowing experience at a government cloning lab. The letter was penned by a man named Donald Marshall. For the full letter, please check the video description. Marshall claimed that the Vril Society, the Freemasons, and the Scientologists combined and formed the Illuminati, and they had built huge cloning lab centers underground for sinister purposes. As the letter gained notoriety, Marshall went on to do a bunch of different interviews, which are available on YouTube. In these interviews, Donald goes into detail about the existence of Vril. Vril are a parasitic, reptilian-like entity that feeds off of the energy of humans. This energy is often referred to as loosh. Donald went on to describe 3 different types of Vril. Type 1, as seen on the screen, is the smallest of the 3. Type 1 is thought to have a proboscis, which is used to transfer the parasite to a human host. This transfer is believed to transpire through the eye of the human host. This is sometimes known as soul scalping. The vril would take over the host body and essentially live out their days as the host, with us regular people none the wiser, as they carry out their nefarious mission to take us all over eventually. That is how we can possibly theorize that the black eye is a result of being droned by a vril.
These lizards have a unique biological property of their bodies.
The lizards have what's called a proboscis.
It's an ejectable brain and spinal column.
The small ones they use to drone people, because the proboscis on young lizard type 1s, they're small enough to go into an eye and not ruin the eye, because they're supposed to do this to animals with bigger eyeballs, probably friggin' dinosaurs.
They parasite a human's brain. This top cap thing on the top of their head comes out. They can do this once in their life. It pulls their spinal column along with it. The human would have to be restrained or unconscious.
The thing squiggles in through the eye. It does a spiral around the optic nerve all the way to a certain point, and it's driven there by taste. And they said once it gets there, it has the taste of butterscotch. It then starts what they call sweating the quill. The spinal cord stuff comes out of the spinal cord, and it's everything that the lizard is. The lizard's whole body is dead, and it can't go back in. It's one way.
The juice that's in the spinal cord gets excreted out of the tip of this thing. They're parasitic cells. The parasitic cells go into the brain.
The old person's consciousness is gone. The body is absolutely, totally dominated, and the lizard is smarter as a human. Over time, it'll develop a rash, it'll lose its hair.
And they're actually deficient. They're dumber than the original person.
And they mimic human behavior. And it knows that its life is dependent on it mimicking human behavior, so it does really well. Even with other animals, it's smart enough to instinctually mimic the animal's behavior. The drones of 100 years ago erased any existence of these vril lizards from Egyptian carvings on walls. They would smash them, or books that had anything in them about them, they would burn them.
Marshall specifically named the Queen of England and Prince Philip when sharing his accounts of his experiences, as well as many other celebrities. If you find Donald's story interesting, I encourage you to look into the other types of vril he describes and the rest of his journey, which I promise you is fascinating. The rest doesn't really relate to what we are discussing today, so I won't be diving further into it. But Donald Marshall did specify that the Eye of Horus was directly referencing the vril droning process. I can think of at least one time recently that I've seen Egyptian symbolism used by someone I would consider an elite. Do you have any idea who I'm referring to? His name's been in the news a lot lately. That's right, Jeffrey Epstein. But that's a story for a different day. The next theory explaining these bruises is through an Illuminati ritual. One-eye symbolism is commonly found all around us and is constantly used to symbolize the Illuminati. This could be a rite of passage into the highest ranks, into the shadowy secret society. Many gang initiations involve some sort of beat-in, and maybe we are witnessing the evidence of exactly that. Others theorize that the black eye is the result of too much adrenochrome, once thought to be nothing more than that of old vampire legends, but now is being more accurately revealed as truth. The blood of the young has rejuvenating properties. We've seen a huge push in this topic in the news as young people are able to sell pints of their blood for up to $8,000. Adrenochrome is made when adrenaline is oxidized in the bloodstream. When this blood is consumed, it reportedly creates a euphoric high. Rumors throughout the internet suggest that these elites are harvesting the blood and adrenochrome of the young to achieve these highs as well as its anti-aging properties.
One way or another, every good conspiracy comes back around to the all-seeing eye, and every good conspiracy is in the eye of the beholder. That's why I found this one uniquely interesting, because it started with me just really misreading a word. I was looking through some old newspaper articles, just basically browsing, and I came across the word occultist. And I was like, oh, what's this about an occultist? Very interesting. And I read it a couple times, and I still read the word occultist until I finally realized, and Melissa pointed out to me, it was oculist. It was not occultist. It was a story about an oculist. And that just got me thinking, interesting that I misread the word. Interesting word anyway. I mean, I knew it had something to do with the eyes, but just on a whim, I looked up first what oculist was. Basically what we now call an ophthalmologist, an eye doctor, who can also prescribe glasses. An oculist is basically the antiquated term for eye doctor. And it's very similar to the word Oculus, Oculus Rift, currently the big VR platform. And it's all about the way we see the world. Very interesting. So just on a whim, I decided to search for oculist conspiracy. And not only was there one, but it ended up being more interesting than I ever thought. And the story pretty much starts with translating an old cipher. And so Wired magazine back in 2012 wrote a really fascinating story about it. Basically, an academic who was translating old languages, who was an expert with languages, she was about to move to another institution, and her close working colleague gave her what he said was a top secret manuscript that she could work on late cold nights or whatever, because she was moving to Sweden. And it turned out to be a cipher that she couldn't crack after more than a decade of working with it, even though she's a qualified expert. But she ended up working with a machine translationist after seeing a lecture he was giving. And they use the same modern techniques that they're using to steer society, to make investments on Wall Street, and to track social behavior. They use these for machine translations, the same kind of software that Google Translate uses. And they say that instead of teaching rules about language as you would to a human student who's trying to learn a new language, they study the patterns and the frequency of words, and it becomes a likelihood of translation and an algorithm. It's done by a computer. And the Oculus conspiracy was unraveled after many years of a very tedious translation that was very difficult even with the machine. And it took them a while to find out that it was even written in German as opposed to other languages. And once they kind of had a hint at that, they started taking a crack at translating some of the letters. And these are very strange letters. There's a lot of symbols and a lot of accent marks. Basically, this is why they didn't even know. For a while, they didn't even know maybe this is just a hoax or something. They've called a lot of documents hoaxes, but it turned out they did not think this was a hoax because they found the pattern, basically. In the end, all these regular letters, the ones that are not accented, those became the throwaway letters. They started by trying to translate them, but it turned out those were the throwaway letters to reveal the actual code and show the spaces of words and the breaking up and everything. And even still, they didn't have a direct translation, obviously, for these strange symbols, but if it was written in a human language, they can pretty much eventually extract it. And what they found first was talk about secrets. And after they translated a few words, they discovered that they were dealing with an initiation document. And they found the phrase light hand. Finally, they took it to the archives and they found old secret societies where they had used the term light hand. And what was revealed from this very interesting code that was just so difficult, machine and man together almost couldn't crack it. What they found was they traced it back to a group that called itself the Great Enlightened Society of Oculists. And this ends up being pretty interesting. It's a very little known secret society, but it does appear to have been genuine, and it appears to have remained so little known because presumably this group actually did want to keep itself secret, unlike larger orders, the Freemasons. They hide in plain sight, for instance, even though their proceedings are in secret and it's staggered according to initiation rank and so forth. And so this document for a secret society of oculists describes in detail the initiation ritual that they do to their members, and it's actually oriented around eye doctors, and they think this society peaked sometime in the 1740s. In the 1700s, just at the dawn of what was about to become the American Revolution, and after that the French Revolution, Freemasonry was very popular in Europe. There were lots of different lodges and lots of subgroups, and the key development, at least according to what they're saying in this story, is that the Pope issued a historic decree in 1738 that outlawed Freemasonry and made it a target and an enemy of the Vatican. And the Pope forbid Catholics from joining the Freemasons or from assisting them in any way on threat of excommunication. And apparently they were most worried about the secret oath. They didn't want Catholics making a secret oath with other non-Catholics and having a secret loyalty that they didn't control or that they didn't know about or that might trump them. And so mainstream history tells us that in 1738 and 1740, a lot of Mason groups splintered off and they created new groups to try to hide their secrets and to try to remain from being prosecuted because they were being accused of satanic activity and being accused of sodomy and other things that they could have been persecuted for. So there was an attempt to hide these secrets. And this group, the Enlightened Society of Oculists, seemed to be carrying a significant repository of Masonic secrets because once they cracked this cipher document, they found that the back, like the last 75 pages or so of this 100-page document, pretty much described all of the known Masonic secrets in detail, all the different initiation ranks and the secrets that are revealed, the mysteries that they take step by step. All of this was known at a time when it had not yet been exposed to the world. This document seems to have been written at a time when that would have been authentic, exclusive knowledge. And these oculists posed as if they really were real doctors. Their initiation ritual describes them as being the true doctors who can allow people to see and that they're not like the other charlatans, which is interesting because there were oculist charlatans of the day. This guy in England, he would travel around Europe and he'd give big grandiose speeches and make a show of doing eye surgery when he ended up blinding and killing people, hundreds of people, even some of these classical music composers. And so they say they're the true eye doctors and they're not like that. And it's not clear if they really were practicing as oculist eye doctors or if that was just their cover for the secret society. But either way, it relates closely to the all-seeing eye. Their assumed profession as oculist really carried a metaphoric meaning that comes through in the ritual, that they are the gatekeepers of perception. They have control over whether one sees or not. In the metaphor of being reborn into their secret order, it is they who will reveal sight to the blind and allow someone to see again or see for the first time the true nature of reality. And so the cipher document describes the initiation ceremony, and after they take an oath of loyalty and a pledge to secrecy and other things that are familiar to lots of secret societies, they have a staged ritual where the candidate being initiated, he's put in a room with candles and medical instruments, a room with eyeglasses and microscope, and he's told to read this piece of paper. And piece of paper is actually blank, so he says he can't read it, he doesn't see anything, and that's the first step of the ritual. Then they put a pair of eyeglasses on him and ask him again, is he not able to read the writing? And he answers no. And so they tell him, oh, take comfort, we'll help you as well as we can. The initiation ritual goes on, and they do a mock cataract surgery, which was the big oculist surgery of the time. It's a dangerous surgery, and you've got to have a light hand, that phrase they found. And in the metaphor of the secret society, it is they with their light hand who can restore sight. So they do a mock oculus surgery on their candidate. And instead of actually cutting into the eye, they pluck a single eyebrow hair. Maybe a little painful, maybe startling, but symbolic of their intervention in the candidate. And they bring him back to the table where there is the blank piece of paper. And this time, after he's had the mock surgery, he finds instead the teachings for the apprentices of the oculist. And so now he can see, and they've restored his sight, and that's when they begin to teach their candidate about how to read their secret language, how to recognize it, how to know which letters to read and which not, and how to translate it. Something that historians didn't figure out for 260 years or so, and it took the aid of artificial intelligence just to crack the code. So there's good reason to think these may have been real secrets and important secrets that seemingly the Oculus wanted to initiate people who could be true carriers of the secret and reveal that secret knowledge, the secret wisdom, the divine knowledge, only to those who are very worthy of it, the highly enlightened society of Oculus. And later in their writing, they poke fun at the Freemasons, they joke about having been their creators, and they pretty much allude to the idea that most Masons are not real keepers of the secret, and they're just people who joined up because they wanted to be part of a secret. On the other hand, the Oculists, they profess to have very serious
All right, I'm going to kill that right here for a bit. Let me mute some stuff, get myself together. I'm always looking for weird stuff to put up. The idea being is that, you know, these usually, it's not planned live shows. I kind of come on around 8 and 9, and it takes a while for the messages to go out and people to show up. And I think you just put weird crap out there. I love weird stuff. It just makes you think. You know what they say nowadays, the past couple of years, they say, you know, what's the difference between conspiracy and the truth? About 8 months, right? All kinds of weird stuff is coming out today. I couldn't hear it, so that's another reason I want to kill it. I'm actually working on something to, like, put together for something like that. I'm researching it, and I found out some weird stuff. It seems to be pretty true. But, you know, the whole black eye stuff, right? If you actually watched any of that, the takeaway I get is the question, why? Why would all of these people, and that's just a small, like, offering of people that have these black eyes. And not only do they have the black eye, but they show it, right? They show it to the public. It's usually politicians and actors and actresses, right? Hollywood people. There's Robert. Hey, Robert. Mailhouse. I forget. Is that how you say your name? Mailhouse. Mail. I can't speak. But they show it. Like, they don't. It's not like, oh, I got a black eye. You know, my lady or my guy beat me upside the head, and I'm not coming out for a little while, and I'm putting a lot of makeup on. And we don't want anybody to see that. No, they actually go out of their way to show you. And the other thing that you always see these musicians and actors and actresses do is they always cover one eye. It could be very creative in a creative way. They'll do something like this or whatever. It's on their album covers. It's in all their pictures. And that's all part of it. It's part of the club that they're in particular with, like, Hollywood. The Hollywood, the magic staff comes from the Hollywood tree. It's the holly tree. And that's what Merlin had, right? You think of, like, Lord of the Rings and everything else. These magic wands are made from the Hollywood tree. Or I should say Hollywood. Not Hollywood is one word, but the wood from the holly tree. I have one right over here. And it's considered to be magical. And you can imbue certain powers to it. And that's why they named it Hollywood, because it's a magical place. But it's not just magic in terms of white magic or dark magic, but it's about creating the make-believe of the magical world. Of course, they've taken it to a whole nother degree, haven't they? It's mysticism. It's ancient mysticism. The Druids were into it. By the way, the Queen was a Druid. And there's actually some good footage out there where you can see the initiation ceremonies. These people are into a completely different religion, which goes way back. The other thing that the god that they pray to effectively is, I'm not going to get the name right, but it's the most recent variant of it is Athenian, which was the god or goddess of essentially acting and performance and all that. And the Greeks, I think, called it, I can't think of the name of it right now because, again, I don't have any notes or anything, but the Greeks had a different name for it. And some of the Greek philosophers actually talked about it, talked about acting or whatever, and I forget which one of the names that you know from all the Greek mythology and the people that wrote, to this day we still know of. And I don't think it was Hippocrates or something like that, but it was one of those people. They talked about it because the Greeks created the amphitheater, effectively, the actual amphitheater, where it could provide some additional sound support, right, magnification, amplification, and they were big into acting. and putting on shows, and it was written that you could master the art of performance, the performance art, technically speaking, but no great actor or actress could ever truly be great unless they were possessed. And that was the understanding and the belief. So they all belong to this weird club, right? And as you see, this Oculus Club, right, that's just another weird club. We don't know how many clubs there are and how many, they all seem a bit odd to the rest of us. Some of us are maybe even be Masons or whatever. But there's differences in that, the different levels of these things. The deeper you go, you're exposed to different things. It seems like in Hollywood, if you really want to get anywhere, well, they all say they sell their souls to the devil, but which devil, right? What is it really? And then more recently, you see them all performing all these Satan rituals, which is huge. I mean, we even had this Satanist group being honored at a baseball game recently, and for what, right? Because they're Satanists. It was a Satanist group of cross-dressing men, Our Lady of Perpetual Indulgence. I don't know if everybody caught that, but that's their name. And one of the honors was that for them saving lives and doing great things, which they've done nothing like that. They're just cross-dressing men who profess to be Satanists, and they're being awarded in a ceremony at a baseball game, right? Whatever. Anyway, so I wanted to say, hey, everybody, hope everybody's doing well. Let's get into it, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about YouTube and stuff, and I wanted to show some stuff that I came up with a while back that I haven't actually done again, so let me find it. Because I'm kind of tired tonight, kind of beat, I'm sure like everybody is. It's been so hot, I've been working a lot. I guess I'll leave the headset on, because I got to see. This thing is working, but it didn't pick up that little presentation, and that one was too long anyway. I need to cut it down. It doesn't need to be that long. I'm not going to hear my mic, but I do need to hear desktop audio. So let me try to find the thing that I wanted to show you guys, and I think it's on the playlists, and we'll talk a bit about it. I was wondering if Bleach PC would come in tonight, because I wanted to say I liked he redid his promo, and I actually showed him a little while back when we were talking about tips and tricks for YouTubers and maybe wannabe YouTubers, right? Because I've been doing it for 3 years now, and like there's a lot of pros and cons. Like you could just go and get a camera, your cell phone, right, and just grab it and just press record. And that's what I tell my friend of mine, because he bought a GoPro 8 or something. I don't know if he bought it or got it for Christmas, and he does trucking. And I'm like, dude, that people like trucking. You should just press record and figure out how to do this and start putting yourself up on YouTube. Well, the other day, because he hasn't done it, right? Because everybody has like performance anxiety, or they're procrastinators, and they overthink it. The first step of doing YouTube, I think, is not overthinking it, right? Just press record. Because if you don't have the footage in the first place, well, then you got nothing, right? What are you going to put up on YouTube? Even if you create an account, you're all ready to go, right? You got nothing. So the other day he was trucking, and I don't know where he was, but he's in like Pennsylvania, but he was somewhere else, and some dude in a big pickup truck with the raised tires and everything slammed into his semi's mirrors and ripped them off, right? And the guy kind of took off, and my friend Matt went after him. And I'm like, well, that right there, right? That's, for people that are into trucking and stuff, that you should have had, because he probably has it with him. I'm like, it should have been on, like, dash cam, and you should just turn it around or whatever, and just go. You were going after the guy anyway. That would have been good. But you got to press record, right? So I think the most important thing for anybody, if anybody's thinking about doing YouTube, you don't need much. Press record. Then, when you got a bunch of videos together, see if you can find some kind of an editing program. And it depends. I don't know anything about editing programs that go on these phones. I can't help you there. Some of you guys have seen I run DaVinci and stuff. and I love it. I still haven't heard back from them. I absolutely love DaVinci because I can do anything I want that I know how to learn, that I know how to do, and that I can learn. So I've learned a lot about DaVinci Editor. That's how I get all that B-roll in over the top, and I wave it in and out, and I do stupid crap. That's my hobby part, right? That's the part that, since I took it in school years ago, I was like, I always kind of wanted to do something like this, but I think I've mentioned to some of these before, that back in the day, the equipment was big, it was expensive, it was slow to work with the footage, and it was a nightmare. It's not like it is now. And I thought, well, you know, like even when I started with computers back around that time, they were big, they were expensive, they were slow, they didn't really, if you were into like AutoCAD and stuff like that or whatever, yeah, maybe, but I said, you know what? And my one friend used to say, I'll wait till it's like Star Trek and I could just talk to the damn thing. I'm like, well, you're going to be waiting a little while for that. Actually, I saw that, and this as on a sidebar, when I worked for the military, when I worked for Grumman, we had, and this must have been, I don't know, late 80s? They had what they called a bubble voice jet. It was about the size of a, I guess like, you know, like a stereo, but half the size. Remember their old stereos, like this, like rack mount kind, and it was probably about the size of, let's say, like a DVD player, right? That, you know, for your audio equipment, TV and shit. And it's fit inside a workbench. We put it in a workbench, and the technicians would take a module out of either the aircraft or whatever, electronic modules, and they'd put it up on the bench, and we would have, like, you know, Hewlett-Packard scopes and all the other stuff that you would expect for servicing electronic equipment. But this one thing, you could, once you plugged everything in, you could talk to it, and it would talk back to you, and it would tell you based upon what it saw, what you were plugging into it, what you told it. It would help you with the diagnostic. And this is like in the 80s, and it was only about this big, you know. So when you think about, you see all this UFO stuff coming out. I don't know if anybody's following it, but all this UFO stuff, the military claims, there's now interviews with the Senate, or Senate hearings with whistleblowers and everything. And they're actually even saying that a lot of it is ours. A lot of it is ours. Remember when like the stealth bomber and all that stuff came out in Desert Storm? That came out, all that stealth technology, it came out at the end of that program, right? They were looking to do something with it, which is what Desert Storm probably was really about. They were looking to do something with it before they got rid of it, so they could show it to the public and fool around with it in a real, you know, so-called real war. And then it really was the end of the technology, so that's why they let us all see it. What's up, Brett? So probably, my guess is, like, if anybody's ever heard of like Moore's Law, where the computer processing power was doubling every, I don't know, year, so many years, whatever, I forget what it was. Well, it's gotten to the point now where they don't even use that anymore. If anybody follows any of that, there's a thing called the D-Wave computer, and it is a supercomputer. Right, and it's super cooled with, I think, like liquid nitrogen or whatever. And the guy that runs it, essentially the guy that runs the whole company and everything, he talks about it a lot. And what he says is that when it does its calculations and processing, it does it in another dimension. It actually doesn't do it in the standard. Well, our dimensions, we really have four, right? Because you have length, width, height, and then of course you got time. So that's really four. And I don't know what dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, they claim, but they're not actually sure. So my point being is that if you think that a lot of the stuff that we see today is modern, my guesstimate is that a lot of the technology that we see, that we know of today, can be anywhere from 30 to 100 years old, literally. Like, it's, if you were to measure it in today's terms, not necessarily 30 years ago they made it or 100 years ago they made it, but in the sense of the way things get updated and what they're working on before they release it, like, because it propagates on itself, you know. The technology and the speed of the computers have gained so fast, we have no use for any of it here, but they do, right? So let's see, Brett says, just finished running the big Honda-powered Simpson. Surface clean my front sidewalks and front steps. That cat pump is a beast. That's what my friend Steve said from the cat thing that I was just showed. And I got to do the rest of his video, which is going over the what motor is that again? I can't think that the. Oh my God! What motor am I? What was I saying? Why can't I think of the name? The Japanese motor, or whatever the hell it is. I just went right out of my head. The Subaru, right? I went over the Subaru motor. So I checked the valves. I cleaned his carburetor out. Went over the carburetor. I did the regular tune-up stuff. I checked his ignition system. So I'll probably put that up too, because I don't think I actually have like a full service of a Subaru engine on my channel. And they're pretty common motors, and I think they're damn good ones too. I mean, I'm sure you guys would agree. This thing, by the way, yeah, yours might be a Briggs, but these are the Subarus. Mine has a Subaru too, because it's basically the same machine. With the 3,000 PSI cat pump, and I just put it back on mine, and when I finished servicing his, I turned it down. I turned the engine down to like almost an idle, because it was really too much pressure for what I'm doing with the mowers and the machines. It's just too much. Unless I'm like defouling a deck. It was just like maybe a little bit above idle. It had no problem. It definitely dropped the pressure. The engine was quiet, like almost dead quiet. Like really was nice being out in the yard and not hearing, because that's just horrible. Yeah, the GX200. Wow, I've never had one of those. Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I have one on the. I have a big steam Jenny that I've never really put on the channel. It's just sitting in the shed waiting for work and whatever, and whenever I get a chance. That might be a GX200. It's a pretty big Honda engine on there. I got it to fire years ago, but that machine needs a bunch of work. 6.5 horsepower, that's pretty decent size. That's pretty decent. So I suspect what we're sitting on top of in terms of technology is way above. So that's why they were saying in these interviews, they were saying that we have essentially anti-gravity. And they're flying around in these things that look like UFOs, and it's our people. And I've said that for years, because after working with the military for a while, I'm like, yeah. And knowing what DARPA's been up to all these years and where all this stuff comes from, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised. Did they get it from aliens? Well, that's been the debate. I don't know. I don't really care, right? I can definitely say I feel very confident in thinking that it's our shit, and it's way above and beyond what we would normally use. It's probably extremely expensive, and since there's no way to sell it outright, defense contractors would rather sell the stuff they're dumping over in Ukraine that they can't even keep track of, and we're spending billions of dollars, and they admit that they don't know where the weapons are going, a good portion of it. See, there's money in that, okay? Yeah, give them all this stuff, let them shoot each other, we don't care, we'll keep the best technology. That's my take on it. So I wanted to say to Bleach, because he redid his intro, premiere, preview, whatever they call it. Let's see, Brett says, I had mine wound up pretty high because I was running a surface clean. Yeah, a 15-inch Twinkle Star stainless steel. It's on my channel. Yeah, I'll check that out, Brett. That's what my friend got, something like that. One of those stainless steel jammies, and he wanted to do basically what you just did. So he wanted me to go over his machine, and he reported back and said everything was working great. He loves it. Good, because he has a little electric one. I think it's a little bit bigger than mine, and he likes it, but you just cannot use an electric machine for that kind of stuff. And if you tried, you'd probably ruin it. You'd probably burn it out. I don't even think it would develop the flow and the pressure. I mean, they do have bigger electric units and all, but I think I mentioned in that one of those videos that I did, I was showing the one that my sister dropped off, which is like the standard vertical stack-up lawnmower motor. It has a nice Honda motor on, like a GC 160 or 190, and the pump is no good. And I told her, I went through it. Yes, this standard tip. I went through it, and I can't afford to even work on those things because they're just absolute time wasters, because the motor wasn't running. So the first thing you got to do is you got to get the motor running. Then, of course, you find out that, she didn't disconnect the hose, so the water, for over a year, the water was sitting at the head of the pump, rotting everything. The unloader valve got stuck. You got to spend time doing the unloader valve. When I went to test it, the pump has this plastic, handle, right, that screws onto the end of the hose. It blew off. It got cocked, blew to the side because it's a piece of fucking plastic. And it went, and it went like that. I'm like, done. We're done. Right? I wasted a whole shop day. And I told her, I'm like, I don't work on those. I'll work on it for you to see. She's like, so I ruined it. I'm like, well, you ruined it, but there's such crappy machines that if you don't take really good care of it, and anything goes wrong with it, it's just... it's like $400 that you just threw out the window, and then now you got to go spend another $400 or so to get something else. She's like, yeah, I was reading somewhere or whatever, some guy was talking about how don't buy those, the ones with the vertical stack up, right? The lawnmower engine style. If you get one and it's running good, keep it good. But then, I'm like, I have a video on how to take care of your pressure washer and put it away for the year. Nobody watches it. Of course not. And because nobody cares and nobody thinks about that, and then just like my sister, right? I mean, she wanted to, but you get done with the job, working on your house, you're tired, you put it in the shed, and you go, oh, I'll come back to it. Then life happens, then the winter happens, and then like a full year later, you're like, oh, maybe I'll go clean this thing again this year, and you come out and you're like, uh-oh. Let me give it to the mechanic. Doesn't work. Mechanic goes, it's done. Get another one. Like running a buffer. What is it? What is it, like a whole rotating thing in there? I haven't actually had one. I don't know what's in there. It's like a spray one. There's the one where they have the jets that aim towards the front and they're in a bar, and it's like a sweeper. And then the other one I think is just like the spinning nozzle thing, right? Which is pretty cool. So that's sitting over here. She's like, can you use it for parts? Meh. For what? Right? I'm like, I don't really... I'm like, you could put another pump on, but that's $100. Yeah, rotating spray on. And I think I just saw one where Pate's Performance, he brought one in just like this. He was all excited. Replaces the pump, figures out the pump is no good, of course. The motors run fine, the Honda motor. Orders another pump, comes in an Amazon truck pulls up, opens up the box. Somebody threw it or dropped it, broke one of the legs off. There's 3 legs that mounted to the bottom of the motor. Broke one off. I think he still used it anyway, but... No sweets, John, TJ says. I know. I'm alright. I just checked my blood earlier. TJ's watching. Yeah, so the one that I'm just telling about, Bleach had... He had it on his channel for a long time. And I pulled him aside and I said, you might want to get rid of it. Like, first of all, I showed it on my channel, and he's got this music playing in the background, and he's talking over it. You can't hear the music, and you can't hear his voice. I said, that's bad. You don't want that. That's a no-no in YouTube. Audio is super important in YouTube. Probably, statistically, YouTube says that audio is more important than the video. Because people can't hear you. They don't know what you're showing, and they don't know what you're saying. And unless it's some kind of an amazing chick flick or something like that, with hot girls in it, like, you're going to need to hear the guy or the girl talking. So I mentioned that to him. And I'm like, plus you've been doing it for a while now, so I know you could make a better video. And then, of course, because I put it on my channel, I got a strike, because he said that the band that he used, the music that he used from this band, at the time, years ago, they weren't popular and there was no copyright. Now there is. I'm like, so now you got a copyright strike, and I did, so I had to delete you from my video thing live. So he went back and he redid it, and it's really good. It's way, like I said to him, like, you've been doing it long enough now, you can definitely do a better one. And if this is the video that you want people to see when they come to your channel, and yours is old with and copyright strike and you can't hear, and I'm like, get rid of that, just delete it. He did, and it's much better. He made a better one. So I wonder if he'll come on. Where are you? I don't know where he is. Don't use grease! No grease! Did you guys see that one? I was like going off on that. Because so many people come to me and they're like, they say to me, "What, Arch, why are you using grease?" It's because the grease. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And they want me to use all these dry lubes. And I think there was one year, I have a video out, I think, on one of the Hondas. I think it's my Honda HRX. No, thanks, DJ. And I was maybe a year or so ago, I grabbed the Honda. I was beginning of the season. It needed to be cleaned. It was having some issues pulling back. I was having some issues moving the wheel adjusters. Very common for the Honda HRX rear drive. Cleaned it up with the pressure washer, cleaned all that off, and I showed it. I put like a dry lubes in there. Put it back together, it ran fine. I didn't even get through the season. I by the time the fall came and I wanted to, and I don't even use that Honda all that much. I don't. I usually use one of the tractors or whatever and drive over the lawn. So the fall season, I like to use the Honda with the bag. Either I grind everything up with those nice dual blades and mulch it, and or I'll suck with the bag, right? And it does a really good job of getting up the pine needles. I couldn't get through the job. I couldn't move the adjusters because I'll move the wheel heights around depending on what I want to do and where I am on the property, so I don't scalp. If I want more vacuum, or if I want to cut it shorter, right? And then you can't pull it backwards. And that machine is heavy. Even with the plastic deck, it's heavy. And the way my property is, no matter what I do, there's some place where I have to let it drive in underneath bushes or something, and then I have to pull it back. And then I let it drive in, and then I have to pull it back. And it's heavy, and they don't like to move anyway. But when the wheels don't want to go backwards, and they're skidding because, well, there's no grease. So I had to bring it back in, and I made it I think I made a bit of a fuss of that as well. Grease suspends the dirt. That's its job. And I remember, like, all right, I'm going to read up on this. So I started reading some documentation on it. And, like, yeah, sure enough, that's exactly what they claim. Now, there's different properties for different types of greases. Yeah, okay. There's high temp, there's low temp, there's different soaps that they put in there. And they have different, rust, anti-rust, anti-corrosion. There's just different types, right? All right, well, you could argue what is the best grease to use in one of these, drive transmissions on these lawnmowers. We could argue that. I don't know. I haven't really looked deep into it. Mikey gives me grease from his job, right? I buy whatever. A lot of times Mikey he gives me stuff because he works for the town, right? And I think they use like 2 different greases there. They do have a low temp grease that they'll use on their equipment in the winter, which makes sense, right? But I think they buy a lot of their stuff based upon, like, what the town can get a discount on from whatever supplier is pushing some product. I have no idea who's the purchasing agent and why. So we could argue over what is the better grease to use for different applications. I don't know. To me, any decent, grease, general purpose grease for a lawnmower transmission in the gear section. You don't need high temp because if it's going to be really hot, what's going on, right? You don't need really low temp because nobody cuts their lawn in winter. I mean, if you live in Canada and you're putting grease into the transmission or into like the auger area of your snowblower, right? You definitely want like a grease that can handle really, really low temps. Definitely. When you're up there, where I am, it's a lot of this stuff starts to turn to slush. It'll be super freezing cold. Usually what we get here in the winter is it will rain, then it turns to snow, then it will freeze, then it will snow again, then it will turn to slush, the sun will come out, then it will freeze. Usually at night it freezes. And then you might get a repeat of that, and then we might get about a month 3 weeks of somewhere around January, February, we might get like deep freeze. But you're not doing anything in deep freeze. If you haven't removed your snow here and cleared it where you really need to clear it to by that time, it's not going to get cleared. You need a backhoe or some kind of plow because it's concrete. See, Brett says, I use Lucas Red and Tacky. Good all-purpose grease. Yeah, nice. And I have some of that tacky shit. Oh my God, right? I hate it. You can't get it off you, right? You got to wear gloves and then throw your gloves out. I found it's like, I think Mikey gave me some of the high-tack stuff. It's really good. It is. It's sticky as all hell. And like I said, if you get it on you or on your hands or something, you're not getting it off. You got to like wash with gasoline and paint in it. So I guess from now on, like if I load that in, the red and tacky shit, I think I have the black stuff in there right now. But from now on, it's like gloves only. Throw the gloves out. Not even going to try to get it off myself. It just sticks. It's unbelievable. It's glue, but it's slippery glue. See, Brett says, I've used it in brush cutter gearboxes. Really? That would be good because in these gearboxes, and when I did the video on the transmission in the auger, on the snowblower, what I keep finding is that a lot of these greases, when things are spinning, and the auger doesn't spin fast, but that little gear does. And it will throw the grease off over time, which is why I really prefer oils. But I've never tried the hot and tacky, right? There's bleach. Oh, there you go. See, here's bleach. So I'm going to back up and congratulate bleach. Hold on. How are you, Arch? Got my Snapper comic going with 8 horsepower Briggs. The Toro push mower was a good video. Thanks, Ro. So I was just talking about you, Bleach. Let's go to Bleach's, because I was saying, some tips and stuff about YouTube. I was saying how I mentioned to you that you might want to redo that promo thing, right? Because I got the strike and we couldn't hear you and you can't really hear the music, and I went through the whole bit. I just went through the whole bit with the fellas, right? And then and I said, plus you've been doing it a while, right? And you could make a better one. Well, I was just telling the fellas that you did, so let's go check it out because you did, and it is better. It's way better. Although I can't compare it to the old one because but. And see, Dale Hill says, hey, Arch, how are you? Just got here. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, Dale, we're doing good over here, working hard. So let me go find Bleach. Let's see. I got to go kind of cruise through my thing, and we'll chat while I'm trying to figure out where he is. I just wanted to show you guys that. Because, again, this is a little bit about chatting about YouTube and everything, along with everything else. But he did a really good job. And, I mean, yeah, I can't compare it to his old one because you're not going to see that. But just... Oh, here he is. Here he is here. So let's see. I gotta find his, let's see, where is it? I see you've been doing all this stuff. How do I get to it again? It's somewhere on the HVC. Where's the one that, I forget how to see it. Let's see. That's your home. Videos. That's latest. I always forget how to get to it. See, on mine it just pops up as like the first thing that you see. Playlists, community, channels, about maybe? How do I find it, Bleach? There's a newest snapper by the garage at Intech 15 horses that is next to work on. Nice. You remember how we find it? Usually it's when you go to the home page and it's like the first thing you see there. I'm at your home page, but I can't find it. I don't know why I can't. What am I not looking at? Brett says, I am just finished pressure washing. Yeah, pressure scrubbing. Towel calls it. Yeah, pressure scrubbing. I like that. Yeah, let me show you. Let me show you Bleach's thing here. Let me move to the right monitor. So this is his channel. Let me take off the but for some reason I can't find the promo video. Why is that? That's home. I'm like staring at it and I can't find it. Brett says surface cleaner is kind of like a scrubber. It sure is. Oh, I want to see this one. This one here. I want to see that one a bit. Yeah, now I don't know where it is. Now I can't find it. Anyway, I'll probably bump into it. You know, but it's definitely much better. So score on that. Bleach says, my anxiety has been bad today. I ate a CBD infusion gummy and it helped. Good. Just try to mellow out. Take some calcium, magnesium, and zinc. A lot of it is a lot of anxiety has to do with diet, believe it or not, and missing vitamins and minerals in your body. And not to mention stuff in your diet that's causing it. A lot of it. Oh yeah, yeah. I've been through it because it's senseless. Really, it's like, why is this happening? Well, it's because of an imbalance. Generally speaking, because you're not born to be like that. That's not the natural state of a human being. And the meds they give you, honestly, don't work because people still have to take them. They never give you a medication that solves the problem. They only give you the medication that keeps the problem so that they can keep giving you the medication and charging you for it. Let's see. So congrats on that, Bleach. Why I can't see it, I can't find it. I don't know. I was, you know, when I saw it, I think I mentioned it to you. You were on your live or something. And, but it just goes to show that, you know, like I go back over my channel and a couple of things that a lot of people probably don't realize to do, and talk a little bit about statistics and stuff. So when you first start, and Bleach has been doing it a while. How many years you been doing? You said like 13 years or something. He's got like, what do you have, like 1 million views, million something, Bleach? What is it? Let me see. I'll find out. You got like 1,366,153 views. You've been doing it a while. Calcium, vitamin D gummy too. Nice. Yeah, I take vitamin D. By the way, the vitamin D. My daughter is under treatment for Crohn's disease, which also is not normal and should not be. And when they first started to diagnose me with the diabetes and I was in crisis mode, what they found was that both of us had like really low levels of vitamin D. And it took like a year or so with like treatment of vitamin D to get the levels up to what they claim is normal, which is still not enough, right? Because they always go by these minimum requirements, right? That's not really where you need to be. You need to be above and beyond. And it took like over a year. So sometimes people think that they can just, you know, supplement on occasion when that's really going to help. No, you need blood tests to see where you are. And then if a lot of times when we have deficiencies, your body, when you, let's say vitamin D deficiency in this example, if you start giving your body vitamin D, it doesn't really know what to do with it because the mechanisms that allow for the high blood levels of vitamin D under the correct diet and everything, those mechanisms are getting broken. And so you just start pumping in vitamin D, those mechanisms are broken. And it doesn't know what to do with it. So you just eliminate a lot of it. And over time, the body has to kind of get healthier and relearn, and then it can start to do something with it. So people think, well, I could just take a little vitamin here and there, and it's really it may not be doing anything. Brett says, well-seasoned YouTuber. Yeah. So some of the simple stuff, right? So you start doing YouTube. The biggest thing that you need when you first start doing YouTube is videos. And you just cut, if you can, you just throw videos at the wall, literally. And then you see what sticks. But really, it's not even about whether or not a video is good, whether or not the video is going to stick, whether or not people are going to view it. It's really about quantity, because unless you're ready to do a super high quality video, and there are YouTubers out there that get many millions of views for each video, and they release a couple of videos every year. They're like, these are people that are on levels that, you know, maybe some of us get to after years of doing it, but either they're professionals or there's just something about them that whatever it is that they're doing, this is what they do. They do super high quality videos that could take them months to prepare. Who knows? Some people are travelers. They do travel. That used to be big for a while. It's not as big anymore. So it takes a long time to travel and accumulate all the footage, and then you got to put it into something, right? That could take You might do 2 videos a year on something like that, right? But you might do something very interesting and very high quality. I'm talking about us, right? I'm talking about the lawnmower crew, right? Yeah, so you know your subs are low, right? We could talk a bit about that. Bleach says, glad you're doing a live. It will help me relax. Good, I'm glad. Good, because it'll relax me too. Because I haven't done one in a couple of weeks. I've been so busy, like all you fellas out there, and it's been hot. I don't do scripts. You speak fine, bro. I don't know what you're fine. You probably focus on the 1 or 2 things that you don't say well. I screw up all the time. Some of it I cut out, some of it I leave in because that's just how I am. I can't, what am I going to do? Reprogram me? Nobody expects us to be super professional. This is not that kind of a show, right? Like these kinds of shows. If you're doing like I watch Redacted, which is a news show. He's got a lovely wife. They're a team. They know, they kind of came up here in New York, right, in Manhattan, and they know Tucker Carlson. They're friends with him, and she's beautiful. They're both like 40 years of age. They came up doing stuff for CNN and Fox, and they went to school for it, and that's different. Okay, that's different. Yeah, you wing it. But part of the winging it, though, is the organic part. However, there is a time, like I do plan stuff. I wing it, but then I plan. And it's kind of like, I liken everything to, like, my experiences, like with music. I've been playing music, guitars and stuff in bands since I was a kid. I don't do it anymore, but all those experiences, right? So I said, throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Well, what we used to do is, so the band had a certain capability, whatever band I was in, and they might be fine players and all, but not every music that we would play works. Somebody might be really into the blues, the other guy's into more of a hard rock, this guy wants to play jazz, that guy is more of like a heavy metaler. They all are fine and everybody plays pretty well together, but when we all go to play together, there's 2 problems there. There's the differences, which can be good, but then does the band play this song that we all want to play? Does the band play it well? And a lot of times the answer was no, right? The band didn't play that song well. And the other thing was this: if the band played it well and we played it out and threw it at the wall, what did the people think? Because even if the band played it well and then we played it out and it didn't stick, because ultimately, why are we playing it? It's not just for us, it's for the band, it's for the people who go into the bar or whatever, and they didn't really like it, then it didn't stick to the wall. Next, get another song. That one sucks. That one didn't work. Whatever. We didn't play it well. You suck in it. So when I say stick it to the wall, so you make a bunch of videos, and a lot of mine wound up in the garbage. Because I came back after a little while later and I said, that sucks. And it has like 100 views. Okay? And judging by the fact that now I'm looking at it and I think it sucks, and obviously no one else cares for it, really. I got 100 views. Now, hold that thought. Let me see what Bleach says. I share my YouTube videos on the small engine groups on Facebook. Yes, it does. It does help with the views. Yep. Yeah. I just joined a group because of the Sears tractor, right? That old Sears tractor, which, stay tuned, fellas. There's another one coming out. I'm working on it. I'm going to break it up a little bit smaller because those are like really long videos, but there's just so much work to do a thing like that. So I'm going to break it up. It'll just be more installments, and they'll be until we're done, but they'll be shorter, right? Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing sometimes. Once again, I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know. That's why I'm saying there's things I don't like about YouTube. There's things I really like about YouTube. So some of this stuff didn't stick. So now when you're new at it, and you have less than 100 videos, and you're not that person that can do 1 or 2 videos a year and be like a god, you're like me. So what you're looking for is quantity, not quality, quantity. And then once you get, that crappy video that I did that got 100 views, after a year it never got any more than 100 views. It might have been one of a handful of videos. And it got 100 views, which is more views than I had without that video. So I didn't go and get rid of it right away. I said, oh my God, I got 100 views. And look, I did 10 videos and I got 100 views. on each one, right? Oh my God, right? It wasn't until time went by and I started to look at it and go, okay, number one, right? These videos are not that good. My camera sucks. I'm not using it right. I can't hear me. Oh, look, my arm's in the way. And my hairy elbow, right? For like half of the video, right? That's got to stop. I can't keep doing that. I'm not going to get away with it. I'm still going to be stuck with 100 views, right? No one's going to really care. They're not going to want to watch me. So the elbow's got to come out. Let's see, Brett says, which groups you in, Bleach? He says, I'm the Lawn Boy group, a Briggs group, a Honda one, and Still Chainsaw group. Yeah, and the Simpson. I'm in the Sears group. There's like the old Sears tractor, and that I'm working on, and then there's the Sears Craftsman group. I think it's a couple of groups I joined for. I don't remember. And with the just Craftsman lawn tractors. Those are the three that I just recently joined. I think it's mostly pics. I haven't posted anything because I have mostly videos. And I'm a little bit lazy with taking pics because I'm not really a photographer. I'm not really even a videographer, but I'm way more of a videographer than I am a photographer. He says my bald spot gets in the way, so I wear a hat. Same here, right? I have like the no hair right here, right? Right. It used to be more hair, and I have like the no hair, and now I'm starting to get a little bit of that bald spot. But I always had a receding hairline. It's been going for years. When I got the diabetes, it got worse. I mean, I had way more hair to like 4 years ago, and then the diabetes killed my teeth, killed my hair, killed my body. Right? Brett says, thinking of leaving the Still group. All they do is bash. Really? They bash each other? What's that all about, dude? Why do they do? Why? How are you bashing each other in a Still group? How does that even make sense? I could see the Still group bashing the Poland group. I could see the Still group bashing the Echo group. I could see the Echo group telling all the people in the Still group that they're all a bunch of elitist snobs. Just a standard pissing contest. Yeah, you get that. Yeah, that's why I don't join a lot of groups. Any group that does that, I don't want to be a part of. So little by little, right, when you're starting out, you think about it, you get a couple of views. I want to see what Bleach says. Snapper mower groups, Briggs and Stratton junkies, people bash me sometimes too. Why would they bash you? F them, right? Everybody does the best of their ability. My contention is, and one of the reasons why I have the YouTube channel is because I don't try to say that I'm better than anybody else. What I want to try to say is that, look, I got some ideas, I got some talent, I got some things I've been working on, I got some things that I've paid dearly for. I want to share that, and if there's any way I can share that and help you guys to get better, and then, you know what I get in return? I get thanks, and then you guys, I can't tell you how many times you guys will give me ideas and resources and show me something, right? Or tell me about something, and I'll be like, ooh, right? Nice. That's like, I'll watch YouTubers, like some of the stuff I watch is like an hour long. And some of it's boring, but one of the things I learned, and one of my teachers taught me this years ago, pay attention. Pay attention. Motor Mouth, is that you back there? Shut up and pay attention. Paying attention means to pay with your attention, because the reward is like, I'll watch this thing for an hour and the dude will show or say this one little gem, and I'm like, oh, that's it, there's the money shot. That I did not know. That is a great idea. I'm so glad I stayed around for that. Money shot, that's what I was here for, right? It's not that the rest of it was crap or anything. I might already know it, and you know, I'm not rushing or anything. I'm just relaxing, chilling. But then I'm like, the dude will say something, whatever, dude, chick, whatever, and I'm like, there it is. Yep. She's Lee says, I sharpened the blade with angle grinder while it was, I guess, was on my snapper deck and it triggered people. Oh, cool. Do it again. You know, I use the angle grinder. I think it's the best. In my videos on how to freshen up blades, which is, you know, I did that a while ago, it's all angle grinder. Yeah, that's fine. So what? Just don't have any gasoline out. Don't have anything flammable out. I do my blade sharpening outside because of the mess. And I don't want sparks flying all over here. Unless I have no choice. And then sparks and flames come out here too. But I just try to do everything out in that little... Because I made that little outside work area because I like working outside and I like making messes outside because I don't really have to clean them up. So I put a little workbench together with a vise, and I got a couple of things out there, as you guys see, you know, and I like all the mess stays out. I talk about it all the time, right? You know, because when I first started all this shit years ago, I put together a show-winning car outside. I didn't have the shop when I built that car. I don't show it because, like, I always tell you guys I don't like to talk about it because it upsets me. You know, I really didn't want to sell it, and I'm getting upset again, so fuck that. I'm not talking about it. So... you know, and I film a lot of it, and then I'll take pieces of it, you know, like, this might go good here, you know, like a minute, 30 seconds, something like that. I think I grabbed something. And again, it's about, you know, how many videos can I put out? I can't put out any more than 2 videos a week. First of all, I don't have enough subscribers. So if you guys want to watch something, I can't ask anybody to watch more than really 1 video a week. The nice thing about 2 videos is, 1, it's within my ability to do, and it's at the edge of my ability to do, really. It's not, it's at the edge, like I'm pushing. And you guys can pick, if you want to watch one of my videos, you guys can pick. Obviously you don't have to watch both. If you want to watch one, pick one. And it's not pushing the channel too hard. And then if it is decent, then YouTube might push it. Here's another thing too, is statistically speaking, hold on, let me reach what Brett says. Bleach. He says, my friend gave me a bench grinder. He was cleaning his garage, had it hanging around, bought it to me. Good. Set it up for something else. You know what I use the bench grinder for sometimes is I come in here, and when the blade is out of balance, I grind the end. I grind a notch in the end and make it balanced, and then get rid of it. Get it out of here. Right? Uh-oh. Did this disappear? Hold on. Let me put this on because I think it just shut off. I don't really need it on my head right this second. Turn it back on a minute. You know, as time went on, right? So YouTube says, so again, just to back up, so YouTube says audio basically is more important really than video. If we can't hear you, if we can't be heard, we can't be understood, and then you got to fix it quick, right? Any of the audio that is not right. There was 2 people that I watched recently. One was on Facebook and one was on YouTube. And one guy I watch on Facebook fairly regularly, and he's just good videos. What he did, what happened, maybe somebody reposted the link or something. I've seen this happen where somebody, YouTube has a way of actually, you can stop that. If you don't want somebody reposting a video or using segments of it, there are switches you can throw to prevent that. But if you don't care, like I don't care, you can let it go. Whatever went wrong, I couldn't hear him. It was like, I couldn't hear him. Second, it sounded like he was in this weird toilet room with his head in the toilet. And I tried watching it for a few minutes. I'm like, I can't. I don't know what the hell he's saying. I don't know what this is. I'm done. Next. Sorry. And this other person on YouTube I was watching, it was the same. I couldn't really hear them. If you find yourself in that situation, watch your videos. What I a lot of times do is it's, let's see, Bleach says, I never learned how to balance a blade, so I just angle grind it on the deck, push mowers too. Yeah, but you know what? You got to learn how to balance it. There's plenty of videos out there. You can do it on a nail in your wall. You need to do that. And if you're grinding a blade, anytime you're grinding a blade, you could possibly, most likely, you're going to be throwing the balance off. So there's plenty of, that's on you, bro. I mean, it's easy. You can hang it on a nail at the very least. I have one of those cheap little balancers too, and sometimes I'll use both. Just see. Learn to balance the blade, and you'll be happier because you can make the machine really vibrate, which is bad for the bearings, and it's uncomfortable to use. So if you find yourself and you do a video and you stood too far away, boost it and edit. You know, take that, watch your videos. Think about when you're watching the video Let's see, somebody, Mad Ginger Customs. Oh yeah, he's pretty cool. Watch your video. A lot of times I'll upload it to YouTube, and then I will publish it, and then I watch it in YouTube, because my speakers and my headset are different. The editor has a way of dealing with audio, and when I play a video in Windows, that has a different way of dealing with audio. It sounds different. It could be louder. One might be lower, one might be louder. I check my levels. And so I kind of go through the routine of, you know, how does the audio sound? How does it sound on the Windows Media Player type thing? How does it sound in the editor? And then I'll play it on the PC, usually through the speakers, after I've uploaded it, before I click publish, make public. I listen to it, I watch the video again, and I'm like, well, that's good enough. And even still, because I've got, like right now you might hear a little bit of the air conditioner and there's a fan on, but even with that, you could see it here. I'll show you. Right, my audio is coming through the camera, through the mixer. It's the ATEM Blackmagic Design mixer for video and audio, and you can see my audio here, and then you can actually see I have an equalizer and I have a dynamic processor with the notch filter, and you probably can hear some of the air conditioner and the fan, but very little of it. So I can't hear it because I'm not monitoring my audio right now. And I go back over all my audio and I process it, and I process it as well in the DaVinci, Blackmagic DaVinci editor. And that way, and I'm still not happy with it, because I have two different microphones. Sometimes I try to make them sound similar. Sometimes I don't care. It depends. It just depends on what I'm doing. And I find this mic is a bit boomy, and I already have somewhat of a deep voice at times, and it can muddy it. In fact, I have it has a filter on the back. It has a notch filter, and it drops out the lower frequencies, like the hums and the sounds of like lawnmower engines and things like that, and fans. And I have that on. I actually have it dumping the lower frequencies. Bleach says, let me move it over here. Brett says, level pound looked good, Arch. What does that mean? Level pound looked good, Arch? Level pound? What does that mean? Hell, I'm not very good with inferring. Oh, levels, yeah. They should be okay. And I like them a little bit loud. Just from years of doing audio and stuff with the band. Don't ask me why. I don't like lower levels. I don't think I even have a good reason for it, honestly. I like a little bit of a hotter mic, a hotter sounding guitar, right? You know, I don't think you just be careful that like this one's kind of touching the red a little bit every now and then. That's because when I get excited. But the mic is far away from me. Most people will have a mic that sets up different and it's closer to them. Audio levels look good on the meters. Yeah, it says thanks. Yeah, and it should sound okay, but I still think it could sound better. And every now and then I fool around with it. But the problem that I have is that when I go to do it, what am I listening to it through? And most of the time it's this headset, even though I have another headset over there, because this one is wireless, and it's hard to simulate. The best way for me to test it is to sit here, run some audio in through my processing, maybe even run a clip, record to the computer, sit there and go la, 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 and listen and make a tweak. Read something, read the same thing over and over again, right? And then do a playback, right? So listen to it live and be like, okay, I'm going to tweak it here, and then do a playback, and then I can save a preset. Like this is a preset. This is my it's okay preset. It's not great. It'll work. It'll work in most situations. It's okay. Okay. And I don't want to fool with it anymore because it's making me mad. Let's turn this thing back on again. Here it comes back up. Is it coming up? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's coming up. I'm going to need it in a minute. So, you know, the audio, I can't stress that enough. more important than your video. And you know what? I agree with it. YouTube says so, and everybody that I've listened to on like tips and tricks of making YouTube videos, that's what they say. And I gotta say, I agree with them. If you stand too far away, and I've seen people do this, I've even done it myself, and the mic isn't quite picking you up, learn to use an editor, cut that section in the editor, right, start to finish, boost it up. And then a lot of times you'll hear, or I'll do, like, I'll start up a lawnmower. Right, as the lawnmower is about to start, I put a cut to the end where the lawnmower shuts off, I drop those volume levels down. And sometimes I want you to hear the lawnmower. Like I think the engine sounds good, and I think it's running better, and I don't want to minimize it too much. I'd rather you get upset with me and go, "Hey, it's too loud." I will bring it down, but I want you to hear it, so I like it a bit, well, hot. And then, well, if you don't like it, then you could just go take your phone or your computer or whatever and just bring the volume down a little bit. But I want you to hear it, you know. But I usually do lower it. Like, I generally don't keep it at the same volume that my voice was just at, because it's going to be too loud. Brett says, I'm with Bleach. Led Zeppelin, no quarter, 10 years gone. Yeah. His oil levels look good. He says, play Zeppelin on one of your lives. I might be able to do that. I actually have a piece. If you guys, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Unfortunately, all the mics that I had to do that, I sold, because when I had no job and my wife hit me with the lawyers and dragged my ass into court, and I was dying and I used up all my money, and I had to sell all of this shit, most of it. Fortunately, I had a lot of stuff to sell, because I wouldn't be here today. Unfortunately, I had a lot of stuff to sell, because that's why I'm here today, and I don't have it. These mics don't record music and guitar very well. They just don't. I've played around with them a little bit, and they're not really for that. I started, by the way, fellas, I actually started putting my stuff back together again, and I have like some footage of it. If you want to see one, I think I have one handy. Just what I was working on. So, just to back up a little bit, just because, you know how my live shows are. It's like we go off in these weird circles, right? And then I come back around, and then we go somewhere else. And that's what I like about live. I'm a weirdo like that, and I can't keep a thought in my head anyway, and I like it when you guys distract me and we go in weird places. That's what I like about live, right? Because the videos that we all put out, those of us that put videos out, well, they have to be contrived. You know, because you got to record it. Live, I get to be the madman that I am, right? The crazy person. Let me find it. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about what I did. Just fooling around. So let me open up my little Play Memories home from Sony. So I started to say, you know what, I'm going to put some of my playing in there. How? I don't know, because it's not a music channel, it's not a music video, I'm not interested in any of that, nobody cares. But I'm like, because guys, I'll often put like weird stuff in these segues, just like the beginning, right? I'll put like weird stuff in. By the way, one of my favorites is the one with the lady on the bike, and it's a regular bike before they put those things, that the drop leg in the bikes, so that the women didn't have to lift their legs over, and it's just like, and then some idiot invented the lady bicycle, and here's that brunette, and she's got a leg up over the thing, you can see, because I'm a dirty guy, right? I think that one is awesome, and it just, these are like quick little things that I throw in there, and I use them as transitions. So I'll be like working on something, and you'll see me do a couple of things, right? I'll say, all right, fellas, that's it for this part, right? And when I come back, we're going to try it out and start it up. And then you'll see me drop the rag, and that's so that to mark the frame, to help me to mark the frame, so I have a visual and an audio in edit. You'll see the rag go down, not all the time, but a lot of times. And then I'll cut, and then there'll be a transition. And God knows what I'll use for a transition. Look out, I could be using anything for a transition. This is no quarter. Yeah, I'll show you something here in a minute. But the audio is terrible on this one. Let me get back to me. But I made something for the girls recently, and I took an old clip of me fooling around in here playing a Zeppelin tune. I'm probably going to get bumped for this. See if I can find it. And I'll play that for you guys. Actually, I have a couple of them, but I'll just do this one right now so I can get back to babbling about other shit. Let me set it up. I gotta find it. It's not on. It's on YouTube, but it's not published public. So I could send them the link. Let's see. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. Let me cue it. Let me cue it and stuff and set it up. Hold on. You gotta wait for the. Let me see if I can hear it. I just want to test to see if I can hear it first.
It's a brief history of B&H, everyone's favorite photo and video store. The year was 19.
See, why am I not able to hear anything? I don't know why that is. I should be able to hear stuff, but it's just not picking up anything. Hold on. I heard something before. Yeah, I heard this. Hold on, fellas. Hold on, I'm playing around with something. Let me... turn that on. Now, I should hear myself. Turn that on. But I don't. It's on. I should hear myself. Turn that on. But I don't. It's on. I should hear myself. Yeah, my stuff is like failing tonight. But I don't. So on. You guys are there. My stuff is like failing tonight. I should hear myself, but I don't. So you guys are there. My stuff is like failing tonight. I should hear myself, but I don't. So you guys are there. My stuff is like failing. I should hear myself, but I heard it before. You guys are there. I should hear myself, but I heard it before. Right? 80s pop. Let me plug that back in. Let me shut this off. Right? 80s pop. Let me plug that back in. Let me shut this off. I lost my monitoring. I need to hear something like pop. Plug that back in. Oh, now I hear it. I lost my monitoring. All right, good. All right, now I can kind of hear. I can't hear all of it, but I can hear some of it. So at least I know it'll play. Let me just test that again. I can hear some of it. Yeah, okay, that works. All right, here we go.
1973.
I'll have to
The
mute
Mets
it a
went to the
little
World
bit.
Series.
You'll still
First
hear
cell
it,
phone
but I'll
call
have to mute it a little
And Bleamy and Herman
because
opened a
it's
specialty
not the
photography
right way
shop
for
at
me to
17
listen.
Warren Street, New York City.
Right, that's a piece of the Rain song. Let me bring this back to me. That's just a piece, and it's too loud for the microphone that's picking it up. It's distorting it. So that's one of the reasons why I don't really like to play with it, is because I don't have the equipment for it. I had such equipment in here at one point that it was like a sound stage. That's how I like it. Casey says, I've been in the background, had to water the grass. Wow, what time is it over there? We just had water come out of the sky. Yeah, it takes a while to play guitar, right, to learn how to do that. Let's see, yeah, you do have a really tripped out vibe to it. Yeah, that's part of the Rain song. That last video I did somehow got mixed around, so the last part was in the middle instead of the end. That can happen. That's why I say you gotta watch it a bunch of times to see. I mean, even then sometimes I still make a mistake and it might do that. Sometimes I'll leave it because I'm like, the hell with it, I'm not fixing that. I'll see something a little bit out of sequence. Yeah, it takes a while to play guitar. Like I started learning when I was a kid. And the Rain song is hard because it's a different tuning, and it's not an easy song to play, but it's kind of neat. I always enjoyed it. I remember seeing that when I was in, like, I don't know, junior high, and we had like Midnight Madness, and going to the movie theater with friends, you'd be like wasted and shit, and watching Song Remains, and just being like, oh my god, So yeah, I learned a lot of Zeppelin tunes. I'll play another one next time. There's a whole video I made a bunch of years ago, so you'll see the younger version of me. And I was doing, what the hell song was it? I did a whole video, like, montage with people hanging out in here and playing and stuff. And it was me doing my own sort of rendition of, I can't think of the name of this song. Love Somebody, Love Something. I don't know. I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it later. Says I listen to music on my on cell phone. Yeah, sometimes I do that. Brett says, "Hey Arch, learn the guitar for the Alice in Chains song." Would you? Yeah. Which one? I did years ago. I did some, but whatever I had left of the equipment that I didn't sell, I dug out. I put this guitar back together, which I did on my channel, but nobody really wants to watch anything like that. I had to sell the one that you saw me playing because I needed the money. But this one I put different pickups in it, and it was apart, and I broke the headstock off of it a while back, which I also did to my acoustic recently. And I put that back on, and I just need to tune it a little bit more, and it'll be fine. So that's kind of up and ready to go. I had a bunch of chords that were no good, so I had to go through all of these chords. And so I started going through my chords, and I'll show you guys in a minute. The amplifier was a mess. I blew out the reverb spring tank on it. I still haven't put another one on, but the amp was just a disaster, and everything had to be cleaned. Every switch, every potentiometer, every grounding circuit, and it was not just covered in filth, but it was in a basement for a while, and just horrible. So I actually just recently I put it up on the bench, and I don't think I shot any footage of it, and I went through everything, cleaned it all up, and then I started going through some of my chords. A lot of them were no good. I had like no chord to plug in, and I started going through a few other things, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Zombie says 9:30. Wow, the guy across the street was cutting his lawn in the dark recently. Let me show you this thing here. Let me find it. I'll show you some of the stuff. This I don't need. Let me see this one. Hold on, I'm looking for something here. I bet you it's been around. It's here somewhere. At least I'll find the name for it. God, I put it up a long time ago. You know, when I was playing, nobody really took video. Because either people were too drunk, or, you know, nobody thought of it. or they were just hanging out. And when you're playing, you're not doing anything like that. Today you can set equipment up like I have and kind of run it fairly easy. But you go back even 10 years and that was just not an easy thing to do. You would have needed help. And, you know, then you're into a whole nother ball of wax. Let's see if I see it here. I wonder if it's even up. It should be up on here. Yeah, Since I've Been Loving You. Yeah, that was the one. That was a fun song to do. Let me refresh this. See, it says Cumbersome by 7 Mary 3. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, and Bleach says I'm trying to sell one of my main snapper I mowed with because the one I just fixed works better. Nice. Sell it. Get rid of it. Keep it moving. You know. It's I just sold a couple of machines that I really didn't want to sell. Like I got back that nice Jacobson Home Light tractor that I really like, but you know what? I needed the money, and I fixed it. And I'm like, you know what? I have plenty of stuff, so it's not like I'm at a terrible loss. So sell it. Let me just show you guys. Let me scroll down. I'm gonna find it. I gotta reorganize my stuff here. Yeah, this is it. I gotta move off some of my old videos and stuff in this library from like 2021 and 2022. So the next thing I started to do was I started to work with the UPS backup system that I have, which is this thing here. I'll show you real quick because I needed to. All right, it says 215, but it's this sounds fine. I can hear it. Calibrated. It's 115. This is a UPS light is on. Thing. I just got to see what. I'll just kind of buzz through it. And I'll back up a little bit. So it uses these batteries. This is the battery pack. Right, they're all in. I also squirted in here. I checked the voltage and the polarity. All right. There's a battery pack. All right, so I used some stuff I was doing with it. These are the batteries that it uses. All right, fellas. And this is it installed. All right, we'll have to wait. I'm going to have to test this. Notice that we're pretty much loaded up. 1000 VA. We do have 2 more bars to go, so when I'm video editing later, I will check that. So I'll check that. And the idea being was that since I sold a lot of stuff and a lot of stuff broke down, I'm like, okay, I can't really afford to buy too much because I'm just broke. So, but I need to get some things working better, and I've had problems with the computer, which I've mentioned over time. Eventually, I'm going to make like a video on like how to like video edit with an old computer and update it and make it better. And so I started doing that because that's part of YouTube and what I do. And I'm like, all right, at least we can take what we have, fix what's broken, go through stuff, put what I have back to functionality. And if anything is broken, try to fix it. And if not, I got to throw it out. Casey says, yeah, okay, guys, have a great night. Few things to do before bed. See you later, Casey. And then Bleach says, including another snapper for parts with no engine. The one I'm selling has electric start. Nice, with a 13.5 Intech. There you go. That should make you some good money. And I said, well, let me put some money into what I have. And here's what the guitar amp looks like. Interested in a 9 horsepower Vanguard on a Dayton generator arch? Wow. What's wrong with the generator? We have one that's almost fully intact, but the electrical side of the generator has been removed. Yeah, just the engine frame and fuel tank. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's see, is this it here? Yeah, I think this one, yeah, here it is. Just a quick shot of the amp that I've been working on. I've modified it. Alright, so this is what I came up with so far. See all these extra wires, right, into this plug, which that's fine, but that's not what we want. So the amp got all clean, went through all of the pots with lubricant and cleaner and acids and cleaned the chrome, and the same thing with this box. And I actually glued down with hot glue some of the knobs because I use it mostly for just echo. And then I made these brackets here, you could see, and I made up some custom wires, right, that come in, they go into the amp here. So they get between the preamp out and the power amp of this head in, you know, the amp head. But that leaves us with all these power cables, and the guitar, I don't have another cord yet. I gotta go through all my cords, they're all making noise. I think this whole setup works because I tested it, but it is noisy, especially when you stomp on this. This is a tube box, so it's got two different tubes in it, and you can drive that amp that way. So this is all tubes. This is a except for the echo. It's a power load, it's a power soak, and it basically drops the volume, but it overloads the tubes, and they distort. You get that natural distortion. You could probably see some of the tubes peeking in there or whatever. I didn't bring the camera out while I was working on it because I've been working on it a little bit at a time. So let me see. Here's what I've got planned. So I have power issues over here too. So we got to pull out this UPS. All right, yeah. Now this is this thing here. I pulled this off the computer bench because I don't need it, but I need it on the guitar amp. Right, this is a full protected outlet. Now I don't know if it's surge protected, but I don't know if it has any sound protection in it. You know, stray like 60 hertz and some of the other frequencies that come in there. Usually they put a choke in or something. We'd have to open it up and take a peek in there, but at least it's fully protected so that we set up the amp. Right, it'll go on the back here because that's never protected, right? You're plugging it into whatever, so that'll be good. House mains. We'll get that done on another project. The problem a lot of times you have is if you play out at all, you're plugging your amplifier and stuff into house mains, and that's the most, you know, in a bar or something, it's just horrible wiring. The polarity could be off, you know, the grounding polarity could be off. Even here, that's why I want to put this little outlet box in, because it's protected, you know, from short circuits and overloads and lightning strikes. But I'm pretty sure it has some sound filtration in it so that you don't pick up all this noise from the AC mains, because 60 hertz AC mains, usually you can get rid of that. But you'll hear, I remember being at bars and stuff, and like you hear like the local airport and a plane, you know, like these little prop planes flying overhead, you know, Roger that tower, you know, ready for landing, and you know, you're trying to play. The problem with like a lot of these amplifiers and stuff is that until you have enough equipment, like you wind up, it's noisy, and especially when you're gaining things up, you're trying to get a hot sound. Now, generally no one hears it because the band is playing and that volume of that noise is relatively low and the band is loud, or the guitar is loud. But if you're in here trying to make something and you start recording before you start playing, all you hear is that horrible noise. Yeah, the plane, right? Sell it as it is, Brett. You know? That's what I do with stuff like that, or keep the motor around for something, you know. Now, just to finish up from what I was saying about videos, right? Now, once you get to a point, fellas, where you've been doing YouTube for a little bit and you have like maybe a couple 100 videos or 100 videos, one of the things you want to consider is that if you have any videos that are a year, 2 years old, right, and you're starting to get like 1,500 views, 2,000, 20,000 views, whatever, one of the things that is a problem for YouTubers that really a lot of people don't talk about is this these older videos or a video that after a couple of years has just not done anything more than a couple hundred views, get rid of them. Because statistically speaking, they're watering down your YouTube channel. Because when YouTube looks at the overall metrics of your channel, it's measuring different things. And one of the things is it looks at, let's say you have, all right, let's boil it down. You put out 10 videos. And one of the videos is very good and it gets a lot of views. And all you have is 10 videos. And the other 9 videos just have not done anything. They're not that good. People don't want to watch them. Maybe you don't have the title right. Maybe your thumbnail isn't that good. So you have to do something about it, because basically 9 out of 10 videos suck according to YouTube, and you only have that one. And conversely, right, if you flipped it around the other way, well, if you had 9 videos out of the 10 on your channel that did pretty good, but one video wasn't really that good, it's changing the metrics of your channel, and it's saying, all right, this one isn't that good. So 9 out of 10, he did pretty good. She did pretty good. Get rid of that one. Then 9 out of 9, you did pretty good. See, YouTube is looking at those metrics. And let's say you have hundreds of videos, and let's say you got 1,000, you got like a couple of hundred videos that just haven't done well. There's no point in keeping them unless it's, what I do is I go back over them periodically and I look at that, and I got a lot of videos that don't do that well. They just don't, for one reason or the other. So the first thing I look at is I look at the video again, and I look to see, is it at the quality level that I'm at right now, right? If I'm getting better, and I feel that is getting better, and I put a lot of effort into it, why would I want this piece of crap video that I did a couple of years ago to be sitting on my channel? Because if somebody bumps into that video and they look at it, which is why I said to Bleach, get rid of the one that he had, because if somebody bumps into it, their thought of me is that crappy video. That you only have one chance to make a first impression. And if your first impression is one of your crappy videos, that person's going to leave. So this is the level of work that he or she does. That's great. Next. So that's one reason why I get rid of it. The other reason is the metrics, right? And I'll look at it and I'll think, well, if the video is something that I want to keep on the channel for some other esoteric reason, all right, I'll keep it. Okay, I'm willing to make that jump, that leap of faith. I'll keep it because there's something about it that I just want to keep. Some of my videos that I do don't get a lot of views, but they're part of machines that I want to keep in a folder, on a playlist, and they're just part of something that I like. Not everything has to be popular. But if it doesn't have an esoteric value to it, get rid of it. The other thing I'll look at is my title right? Can I retitle it? So I might retitle it and maybe even make a new thumbnail, because I suck at thumbnails. I hate thumbnails, but thumbnail is that first impression. I mean, there are people that YouTube that spend money on thumbnails, a lot of money, because they have, and sometimes they have people do it for them. Some of these bigger YouTuber artists, right? They pay people to do thumbnails because it's that important. And so I've tried to get better at that. And sometimes I'll go back to the older video and I might change the thumbnail, maybe change the title a little bit, and then I'll let it go for a while. YouTube says, and a lot of people that I've listened to say, that for videos that aren't necessarily how to or hit a very particular subject that is hot and trending, it can take a small YouTuber 10 months to a year for some of your videos to get pushed out there into the world. So I'm not suggesting that you get rid of all your videos and like that. There may be some that if you've done this for a little while, you might be saying, well, let's leave it alone and see what it does in a year. Come back in a year and take a look at it. If it's not doing well, try to figure out why, make an adjustment to it, put it out there for another several months, and then come back to it, look at it again. And if in 2 years the video has no esoteric value, it's not that good, get rid of it. Let me catch up with you guys. Taper Chad, I want to tattoo my bald spot with flames. Jeez, don't do that. It's horrible, bro. That's scary. All right, I got to take a piss. Hold on, I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something that I did on an older video, and I was really reaching here, and I think a lot of the video is not that good. But then I started to do something in this video when I got a new camera. By the way, I got a Canon M50, brand new, died in a month. as soon, and I'm like, one of the things that I tried to do was like, all right, the first camera that I had sucked. It was all I had. It was all I could afford, and I needed videos. And I wanted videos, and I wanted to learn how to do it. Like I said, throw it at the wall, see what happens. Wasn't pretending to be a YouTuber. Wasn't really even trying. I'm like, I need a hobby. I need something to save myself from the insanity of the world. And it served that purpose. And I started putting videos up with it. But I quickly realized that A, I'm not a very good YouTuber. B, I'm not a good camera person. And 3, the camera really sucked. So let's try something else. All right. And a friend of mine gave me one of the cell phones. And I don't know if it was this one or one of the other ones. And that cell phone wasn't that good. Because I didn't even have a phone. I was so broke I didn't even have a phone. My friend Elizabeth, who you just saw, she actually gave me a phone and then paid for it for like a year or so. Because she was worried because I had diabetes really bad. And like, it's like if anything ever happens to you, you have nothing. I tried to use that phone and it was only good for the emergency stuff, which was what she gave it to me for. It's an older phone, she kept it on her plan, and I tried using it and it sucked. I think her dad gave me this one, which I started to use, and another one. I started to use that, which was better than the camera that I had. So I started using that and learning how to deal with it. The only problem with those is that it didn't have good autofocus. It did this focus breathing thing, right? Try to focus. And so if you move the camera, it had no stabilization. So it went like this and then like that, and then it would settle in. So I'm like, all right, well, I made it like a stand modification, and I Velcroed it to the stand, and I shoved it in front of a lawnmower. Then I bought the M50. I tried to save up some money. I bought the M50. And as soon as I started to get familiar, and it wasn't the right camera for YouTube, honestly, not for what we do. And as soon as I started to figure it out and get it to work, it broke. So I have a couple of videos where I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting somewhere now, right? I'm getting here. Like, we're moving up, right? Got a camera, I'm pointing at stuff, and the audio got better, and I bought a mic and a little light, and I'm like, and then it broke. And they took it back, took a month to get back. And I'm like, this thing, first of all, it's not the right camera for what I do. It had a 30-minute record limit, 29.7-minute record limit. And that was all political, financial, because of Europe and selling it to the European Union, some of the garbage. Because the money, and it's just a wrong thing. And so I just hated it. It was a nice camera, and it was really good at taking pictures. Let me catch up with you guys. Yes, YouTube. I know, joking that the hat is better. Yes, the hat is better. Like my friend Arthur, right? He's bald. And he's a musician, right? And he's a hairy Italian guy, and he's bald. He's got like the stringy hairs that go over your head. And he's got this ponytail, and I always tease him because he always wears a hat. I'm like, dude, why don't you just cut the ponytail off and then put it on a clip and hang it on the back of your hat? I can take a piss. I'll be right there. Hold on. There we go. So let's see. Where am I? I've got to catch up to you fellas. Where's my glasses? I think somebody said something about, yeah, Brett says, Bleach says, I use the Kodak ZX1 camera, old camera, but it serves me well. Okay. But, you know, always look to do better, right? That's why I always say, right? So even like the equipment that I have, I want to do better. Because, honestly, life is kind of like that. You know, you should never really rest on your laurels, as they say, right? You should always try to figure out, well, what can I do next, right? I know the Sony has one, a smaller, cheaper point and shoot that is supposed to be very good. YouTubers like it. It's a smaller camera. I don't think the lens comes off, but it does zoom. It has you can put a mic on it. It's just got a number of features that it can double as a webcam for lives, which the Canon couldn't. These can. That one especially. This one here. This one doesn't have a mic input in it, but it has a really good mic, built-in mic, which I like. And it doesn't have the mic input, so I can't do certain things with it. But this workarounds for it. Has no recording limit. It did originally when I got it. This is the Sony a6000. It did originally, but I hacked the camera. I hacked the firmware, the BIOSware inside of it, and turned all that off and made changes to it. And because the two of these cameras are basically very similar, and all the lenses fit, they're interchangeable, right? So you have that option. Yeah, so, and Bleach, so you can film for like over an hour, which is good, okay? So even as like a second camera, or a backup camera, because let's say you're, like, I was really trying to like start to make videos, and next thing you know, the camera's dead. I'm done making videos. As soon as I really got started, I'm done. And I don't really have any money, so it's not like I can run out and buy another camera. Well, I wound up doing that. I bought these two, and as soon as I got the Canon back, I sold it on Christmas, like 2 years ago when I first got started. So I'm going to show you some work with the Canon. And like I said, I'm not a photographer. Even though I got trained in it, and for a while I took it in school, I liked videos. I'm really a videographer, really. That's why you see the crazy stuff that I do, because it's something I've always wanted to do, because I always saw myself not as a photographer. I only learned photography to understand cameras and film and the concepts, so that, because that's what you learn before you learn videography. You have to learn that, right? It's like you have to learn the notes on your guitar and scales and stuff before you can, and chords, before you can play the guitar and play tunes, right? So you kind of have to do that. And yes, Bleach, I will post that generator on Marketplace. There you go. Tell it. That's like I said, I just keep the money flowing. You're going to wind up with more gear, and because that's the nature of us, right? So let it go. Somebody will use it. You know, I see guys, I have all these motors, and I keep thinking to myself, instead of stockpiling them, because I do use them, I use them on the sales of the machines that I go through. But I see guys on YouTube, on Facebook Marketplace all the time, selling off their extra motors. I'm like, you know, I should just make these things run, you know, like, so you can do a demo or whatever. Maybe make a little video of it, whatever, and then put them all up for sale. You know, a bunch of them up for sale. I mean, I do use them, you know, so, but I collect them. Like, I have probably way more than I'm ever going to use, let's face it. So that was the idea. So I wanted to show you guys. Now, I spoke with Doc Holiday, right? Now, he's another one that follows me, and I follow him. Now, he does bikes, mostly, and putting motors on bikes and stuff. And I was watching him, and I asked him if I could talk about him, and I want to show you some of his stuff coming up before we get out of here tonight. And I had an idea for him, because, you know, I wanted to look at it, because a lot of the stuff I really like. First of all, he's got this one bike that's sexy as fuck. I think so. I mean, just, you know, what do I know, right? But I think it's got a cool back tire. It's got a cool front tire. It's got, you know, it's got the nice fender, and he's fooling around with it, and he's talking about it and all this stuff. And I'm like thinking to myself, wow, he's got these nice bikes. What do I got? I got lawnmowers, which I try to make nice and everything, but you know, I can't amp up the sexiness of a lawnmower. I mean, I can only take it so far, right? But I've had the custom cars and guitars and ladies, and you know, you're looking at these bikes, and you could make a bike like sexy and cool and hot and all that, and you can take all those sort of elements and really show them off And that's what I was saying to him. I'm like, I don't think you're doing that. And because it's a small channel, so if you're standing around talking a lot about a bike and stuff that you want to do, nobody gives a fuck. Because what they want to, they don't know you, right? The problem when you first start YouTube is nobody knows you. So you have to find a way to introduce you so they get to know you. But you can't take too long with that because they don't give a fuck. Because unless you have a hot ass night boob, right, they don't care. I mean, I hate to be sexist, but I am, right? So that's the truth. So that means you've got to offer something. You got to offer value, right? And you got to show them the coolness of this machine. And then over time, in the cases of us, it's machines. Over time, they'll get to know you, and then they're going to want to know your backstory. Then they're going to want to know more about you. Then they're going to want to see your family, like if you really get popular. Then they're going to want to find out why you just got divorced. Then they're going to want to see. But that's much later. Then they're interested into your thought process. Why would you do it this way, right? But when you first start, nobody wants that, unless you get. Yes, it's very. Bleach says. Bleach says hard to make a name for yourself on YouTube. Yes, but what name are you making, and what is yourself, and what are you really making? So my point to Doc was that he's spending too much time talking about what he wants to do. Nobody cares. They don't know you. They don't want to know what you want to do with your life or what you want to do with this bike. They want to see it. So that's why I want to show you this, right? He already. So what sells on YouTube? First things first. Content. What content? Well, that depends. Okay, that depends. Porn. You know, everybody knows porn sells. You know. So content. So if it's something that's hot on YouTube and you got your hands on it, you could suck as a person, and there's a good chance you could stutter, you could be bald. There's still a good chance you'll be successful because the particular content that you're showing is hot. For whatever reason, people want to see it. That's rule number one, right? That's rule number one. If you're not in that situation, and like Bleach says, you want to make a name for yourself. Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole different story because now you're relying on yourself. And unless you've got this awesome personality and I don't know, whatever, it's going to take a long time to do that. So how do you speed it up? You have to give value. Something that is of value. I was watching another fellow the other day, and he's a nice guy. He's got a smaller channel, and he comes out in his yard, and the mistakes that he makes is that the sun is shining into the camera lens. There's this weird halo over his head. He does this all the time. You can't see him. He's talking about something, walking around, talking about the yard, stuff in the yard, and then he starts to talk about something, one of these new emoji things that you can click on or whatever, and it donates to the channel. Well, he hasn't offered anything yet. One, I can't really understand him. I can't really see him. I don't really. It's nice that he's showing all this stuff, but it feels. You know what it feels like? I don't want to offend anybody, okay? My ex-wife is working with a religious group, okay? The Jehovah's. This older woman, she's a black woman, she's in her like 80s. I love her. She's awesome. She's a wonderful person. She works with my ex-wife on this stuff, and she's not like what a lot of people think. But what most people think of is this. The Jehovah's show up at your door, they bang on the door, you go to the door, they start trying to lay something heavy on you, they give you all these brochures, they want you to come and join, and they want a donation, and they haven't done anything for you yet. They didn't save your ass. You haven't met Jesus. You haven't met God. They just send you a bunch of freaking brochures. They want you to, like, you know, hook in now, right? Or you're going to hell, and they want money. Get out of here. You know, and so I see people do that on YouTube, and like, no, dude, you're not getting money. You're lucky I'm watching you. You need to offer value. Show me something that you're not that you're going to work on it, that you're going to talk about working on it. I want to see you working on it. You know, I watch Tarrell, and I don't like a lot of the skits that he does. I don't like that kind of comedy. First of all, Tarrell is funny on his own, and I do watch some of the other skits, right? But Tarrell is a good mechanic, and he's funny anyway, and sometimes I'll go back and watch the skits, but most of the time when I turn Tarrell on, he's doing something cool. He's showing me the goods right away, and he is funny anyway, and he's a damn good mechanic, and I want to see his skill set. The rest of the stuff is kind of the icing, honestly, if he didn't even do that, and I don't want to minimize, you know, the son and the skits and his friends, because that's cool, and that's his shtick, and I'm not minimizing that. But me personally, he delivers the goods. Straight up. Value, right? Because he's a damn good mechanic, and he shows you cool stuff, and he's doing different stuff, and at the end of the day, you cannot take that away from him. You could strip away the teeth and the mask and the hair. He would still be good, in my view, because he's a good mechanic, and he's funny, and he has a certain way of doing things, and I think he would still... Would it be as popular? I don't know. I'm not the arbiter of that, but I would still watch him. Because I do. Let's see. I want to catch up with you guys. Yeah. Actually, I know that guy. Mowers and Blowers, right? I had a run-in with him. Right? He sold me junk. Literally, I needed stuff when I first started, and he came by and he sold me this mower, which is like the green lemon on YouTube. I have that still. And he ripped me off. And he literally put stickers over the cracks and the rust in the deck and everything. He zipped everything together with a zip gun. Everything was stripped. It was all of his junk he put together in a mower. And I was like, I just need something with these parts on it. He's like, oh, I have something. There wasn't a damn thing I could use on that. And you always see hot chicks on his thumbnails and everything, and you never see one in any of his videos. And that's clickbait. And to me, that's seedy. Especially for somebody that is pretty big overall. He doesn't need to do that. Why would you do that? Right? To me, that's a character flaw. Because, and you know what? Some people like that. All right? So it works. Okay? They want to be clickbaited. I don't like to be clickbaited. All right, let me get back. That's my criticism of him. And I didn't like him. He lives here on the island. I didn't like him. Honestly. And when I told him about it, he gave me some bullshit response. And, you know, I didn't see the point, right? I was like, dude, that's not right what you did, okay? And I had, like, no money, so I needed the parts, and I'm like, now I'm out. He could have taken it back. Just I could sell mowers with porn stickers on them. I do YouTube because I enjoy reviewing equipment. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. If you want to... So, value added. Value. Okay, you go and you get equipment. There are plenty of shows that just do reviews, and you can always get better at reviewing equipment. You'd be faster, you can get better camera angles, again, audio, the better display cases, or an area in your garage where, I don't do this, but some people put up like a background of some kind, and that's what you see with the part that they're showing, right? There's all these different ways of doing it. But what you're saying is that, look, I got this thing, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it, and I'm going to point out the goods, the pros, and the cons. Value added, right? And even if you don't get popular, the rule number one, right, is the value added, right? You're something of interest. And unfortunately, though, with that, is that if people aren't not so much interested in you, but interested in that machine, then they won't watch it, right? So it's like what I do with lawnmowers. If you wanted to pick something on YouTube that would make you a lot of money and popular, lawnmowers wouldn't be it, would it? Especially not what I do. It just... So a lot of what I do is the how-to, because that actually is starting to make me a few dollars. But it's seasonal. I have to rely on the season that comes up and the common things that go wrong. And I don't want to do just that because, you know, first of all, how many how-tos can you do? How many carburetor rebuilds, how to rebuild a carburetor can you do, right? Especially on a lawnmower. They're not that complex. And there's different types of lawnmowers, whatever. So I know that I'll do a carburetor video, and then a year or so later, I'll look at the one that I did, and I'll be like, that sucks. Get rid of that, make a new one. And I've done that a few times, where I've looked at an older video, and I said, you know, it did okay, but I could do a better one, and I'll put the better one up, and if the old one phases out, I'll get rid of it later on. I'll let it phase out. And so there's that one-upmanship, is always trying to improve value added. Let's see, it's up, let's see, Brett says, and Taro fully explains what he's doing, as he does, which is like key. Like he really is detail-oriented in his own way. He has his own style, which is, you know, really all of us, that's the best thing that you can hope for, is taking that style, whatever it is, and sort of really bringing it, not magnifying it, but really bringing it to the fore. Because you're the one who's doing it. And so you are unique. There isn't another one like you. Just a key thing to remember, no matter what you are, what you think you are, however you perceive yourself, good or bad, right? There is nobody else like you. Unless they may be on the other side of the world somewhere and like, oh, look, there he is! I got another one over here. Which actually, I've seen that. That actually happens. So you already have that as an advantage. You know, there is no one else like you. Good or bad or indifferent, however you think of yourself, like, you can actually bring that to the key. Some people will not be shown on it. They don't want to be seen on it. That is a style. Sometimes it's a choice. It's a personal choice for a number of reasons. But it is a style. And you can magnify that style, so to speak, and work with it. NC Bleach says, YouTube fans GA. What does that mean? YouTube fanga. Huh? Fanga? What's that mean? YouTube fans gave me money before I used it for projects. Nice. Fred says, you saw my Simpsons series on. Yeah, I think it did good on that. Lots of folks bought that. Yeah, that is definitely key. I haven't done anything like that. One of the things Mick said to his fellow on Mick's Mowers, right? He's big. I think he just hit like 20,000 subscribers, which is, you know, and now I want to focus on subscribers and not just do how-tos. Yes, I'm going to do how-tos, but I want to focus on subscribers because even though YouTube basically says that for not all genres, a lot of genres, subscribers doesn't matter. And some of the big fellas will tell you that. It's watch time. It's watch of videos. But the thing about YouTube, what I like and don't like, is there's always these conditions. There is no hard, fast rule, right? There's these general rules because depending upon what you're doing, subscribers might matter. And I like hanging out with you fellas on Saturday night. And the people that are just watching my how-tos will never come here. They never even subscribe, right? So there's that. There's Spork. Hey, Spork. He's a gaming buddy. He's a friend of mine. He's working now, so he's... Shh, don't say anything. Right. What's up, Spork? He says, my shirt hit the send button, so I sent it. Nice. So yeah, that whole Simpson thing, that's a big name, and a lot of people have it. It's higher end, which to me, like, I like the higher end stuff. I don't do a lot of it, but you know, that's one that even if when I said earlier that some of the things that I keep, like Zippo does a lot of the he's been on here. Hey Zippo. He does a lot of tractors and the older stuff, and he has all of these Simplicity Sunstars. Now, he does well with that. He's been around a long time, and he's got a lot of them, and that's not me. But the videos that I do on my Simplicity Sunstar, they're not bad, they're not great, they don't have a lot of views, they have a decent amount, and I will not get rid of them. I don't care if they damage, quote, my account metrics. Why? Because I love that thing. And that has esoteric value, and that was like I was saying earlier, because it has that esoteric value, I want a folder where I can dump all of my Sunstar stuff in. I made this lifting bar assembly for it from scratch, and a lot of people have liked it because I included the plans, you know, the measurements, I showed how, and like me, when I got the Sunstar, like Zippo, he bought some stuff and it didn't have that. He found one, but it didn't have it. It gets lost, and it's a complicated thing to make, and you need to make it right or it won't work. A lot of welding and bending of steel, and there were a lot of people have said to me, "Thanks, Arch," because now I can make one. Not a lot. I mean not like a god amount. A handful of people really that I helped, because that's part of it, right? It's that group. And have they watched my other videos? I don't know. Probably not. Doesn't matter. That's another reason why we do YouTube, right? That's another reason why we'll get rid of those videos. Even I'm not looking to make money on them. I'm not looking to build my channel necessarily on that. I like that thing. And so it keeps me passionate about what I'm doing and about YouTube. Because some of the stuff that we do, and I always recommend, if you're doing YouTube, you don't want, even if you're doing it for a job and it's making you good money. Ken Small Engines, he just did a little YouTube video With him, he gets the camera too close to his face, and like you can see like into the pores of his fucking face hairs. And I'm like thinking to myself, Ken, pull the camera back, bro. Right? You scared me. Right? He's going on about how he's in a funk. He's got all of this stuff to work on. The money's good, but he's in a funk because it's hot. It's the middle of the summer. And he's in a funk. He needs to do something. He says, I want to get back to hanging out, doing some live shows and hanging out with my friends. I guess he's so busy and everything that's going on, he can't. Well, he needs to, because he needs to stay passionate about it, right? Because it's partly money, and it's partly his hobby. So he knows it. He knows it. But when you're in that funk, you can't think clearly. Like, you kind of know what the cure is, but you don't want to take the cure. You know? Let's see. Wanted to drop in to show. Yes, thank you, Spark. He's showing his support. His, saying hey. Bleach says more people watch me than subscribe. Yeah, that's everyone. That's what even the top YouTubers that complain. They'll be on a YouTube video or even on a live, and they'll say, one day I was watching one of the fellas and Diesel Creek, and he was talking about, on that last video I did, I got 60, 70,000 views, and I looked at the metrics, and 1% of you were subscribers. And he's big, and I hear this all the time. Another guy I watch, and he does like homesteading and everything up in Canada, and he's like, I'm on this live stream right now, and I'm looking at the statistics, and like, I'm thankful that you're all here and you're all watching me, but like only a small percentage of you are actually subscribers. And for everybody that's here, how many times have you hit the like button tonight? By the way, hit the like button. Hit the like button, right? And they'll say that, so if you guys can just hit the like button. Don't hit it too many times because you'll turn it off. Yup, that's everyone. Or probably most of everybody, like even the top people. So you may not get away from that, but how do you pull in more? So I wanted to show you guys this footage. So let me go, shut up. Hold on, because I'm a big mouth. I gotta go back to my YouTube channel, and I wanted to show you Doc's channel and what I'm talking about. He's sitting on top of what I think of as a sexy powder keg, because he's got some good stuff there that I don't think he knows what to completely do with it yet. And I'm not saying every video should be done what I'm suggesting. That I don't even do that, right? I don't know, maybe some people probably do it, but I don't think you need to. So let me show you what I'm talking about. I gotta find the damn thing now. I just saw it, I swung past it. Yeah, I think it's back one. Give me a minute and I'll find it. Alright, and it was just when I got the newer camera, and I was fooling around, and I was reaching. Where is it? Here it is. Here's one. So this is, let me go, actually, you know what, I'll go to playlist, because that's the one. It's actually, I'm going to zip through these two videos, because I just want to show you a little bit about this, what I didn't like, what I was doing, and what I did like. And I think you'll agree. But it's a learning process. And I haven't really done too much of this again. Probably because I haven't done a build like this in a while. Where the hell is it? I'll find it. It goes back a ways. Brett says, How To with Doc did a really nice series on pressure washers. Yeah. Yeah, and you'll learn, right? And as Brett says, even my vintage hand dryer videos. I know, right? I think I commented on one of those. That's really cool. Yeah, with the two Craftsman snowblowers. I like the old and new too. We actually put that one here on my channel, right? We were all watching it together. And not everything has to be a win. It's just not going to happen. Like I said, most of my videos, and I may even show you that later. I don't want to go on too long, but a lot of them don't do all that well, or at least haven't yet, because I am only 3 years. So, but that doesn't mean you don't put them out there, but it might mean, like I was saying earlier, it might mean, here it is, here, the Billy Goat leaf blower. Okay, so it should be I want the playlist. There should be 2 of them in here, playlists. Why am I not seeing it in my playlist properly? Yeah, here we go. All right, let me bring up this. Okay, Billy Goat leaf blower. All right, so just show you what it looked like. Found on road dead, Billy Goat leaf blower. Okay. And I'll bring the desktop audio up in a bit. I'm gonna have to mute my mic at some point because it will interfere. Okay, so you can see it's a mess, right? And we're going to just kind of cruise through it.
Billy Goat, and I've had it for
So
about
just
a
to show
year
you,
or more. I don't know. It's been outside. It's been inside. It's broken. The handle needs to be welded. It's a mess, but it's all here.
hey everyone. All right, this goes back.
Arch's Garage.
So I didn't like the intro.
And this time on Arch's
My
Garage,
intro sucks.
we're going to kind of look at this machine.
Yeah, that's
All
great.
come apart.
Shut up. All right,
The
so I'm
machine-
going through it,
Leaves everywhere. It's making a
trying to
mess
get it running.
again. Why
That's
does
a
everything
crappy
have to make
shot.
mess?
Crappy shot,
Too bad.
but
Some kind of
okay.
compression.
I'm babbling on.
55, maybe 60.
I'm really taking too
You
long.
know, next time I make a little bit of money.
God knows what the hell I'm talking
buy one
about
of
here.
those
Nobody
platforms.
cares.
Ready?
All right, wasted footage.
Should
All right, so
run.
we know it runs. Again, babbling again.
A little bit.
Now I'm going to try to make this thing run.
I think that's just about full itself.
I went
Now
over
I
the
just threw this
valves.
call together. Turn that. But
Babbling
it should-
again, wasting time, taking too long. All right, I got it running.
We could always put another carburetor in it too.
I'm only 10 minutes in and I've wasted a lot of time. A lot of this isn't something somebody wants to watch. Okay. So that's the first part. So just to show you guys a little bit about what it is, right, and how it's a mess and all, right? And that video is not long, but it's maybe 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. But I was new at it. That's the better camera. I got a decent stand. It looks okay. Some of the shots were wasteful. I wasted time, too much of my babbling, stuff I didn't like, and it shows. I have 722 views 2 years ago. I did go over the valves. That's a separate issue. People started to watch that. And I limited to just the valves. And some people criticized me on it. For I don't know, whatever. All right, it's in the comments. Some people liked it, some people criticized me. This one is on the valves real quick, and I'll just go over it real quick.
Designing an SUV for the
Let me cue it up. Let me catch up to you fellas. Well, I gotta wait for the ads.
Introducing the Polestar 3.
So I can see a lot of things looking at it now that I should not do again, and I try not to do stuff like that. I try. I'm aware of it. I'm willing to criticize my own work. Hold on. Oh, here we go. All right, now let me get to the next. Let me catch up with you guys. Yes, this is what I'm suggesting. These ideas, Bleach. So, I'll get to Doc in a minute because I can't cover everyone or everything or every little nuance, but I'm trying to cover general things, and we'll get to Doc in a minute because I want to show you his bikes. But first I want to show you a piece of this and what I don't like about me and what I didn't like. And just to give you an idea, that's a 3-part series, this thing here, so I'm going to get through it. And Brett says, I had them both there, so I figured I'd do that video. My cousin who owns the new Craftsman even liked it. I started a new book. Yeah. Great setup, well thought out, contrived, right? Because it came to you in an idea, and you thought, geez, you know what? I'll do these two together. You could have done them separately and never did the together video, But aren't you glad you did the two together video, which you came up with the idea, and then you said, all right, now how do I shoot it? What do I say? What do I do? I thought it was a great video. I enjoyed it. Now, it's a snowblower video, so it's not going to be, you know, like I have that video on going over my Toro 826. It's not going to be something that people really going to, like, you know, oh, I can't wait to watch Arch's, you know, Toro 826 video tonight. No, I'm not expecting it to get a ton of views. Again, that's like the Simplicity Sunstar. I love this damn thing. I still own it. Mikey gave me another one, beat up, that got hit by an RV. And it's a mess. But it's my backup machine. And I showed some of it, like last year or maybe 2 years ago, I forget now. And Wayne of, what's his name, Performance, his son has that channel. Wayne says to me, Arch, those are really nice machines. And they're complicated. And a lot of guys don't understand them because he's up in Canada, so they are way more invested into snowblowers. He says a lot of guys don't understand them and they overlook them. And they're missing out on a really good machine. You should take either the one that you have, or I mentioned to him that I have that backup machine, that parts machine. You should go take it apart, go through it, and show everybody the key points of it and how it goes together, and just like make some kind of video on that premise. When I have time, I'm going to do that because that came from Wayne. That's not my idea. That came from, like I was saying earlier, about sharing with you fellas. And then you come up with this stuff out of left field, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to put that on a list. Yep. And then I got to figure out how to do it. I got to figure out how to make it, you know, watchable. It's a great idea. I think it's certainly worthy, and it's coming from somebody that is a mechanic, long time. His son's got a very popular show, different techniques, different stuff, different kind of show than mine, but you know, fits right in. All right, so let me show you. I'm going to bypass the valve part. I just want to get right into
brushing it back on again.
All right, this other me doing the restoration, and I'll condense it down. It's about 25 minutes, so I'm going to condense it down to a few minutes, and then I want to show you the sequence. And there's like two sequences that I think is this the kind of thing that I want to do more of, and I'm suggesting it to everybody because, you know, you wouldn't think to do it. So let me get there with that. All right, I'll do a little bit of narration. I'll lower this volume a little.
And over here, I got the wheels off.
Okay, so the thing's a mess.
That was a bit of a pain in the neck.
But I'm going through it, cleaning it up.
I have to stuck on one wheel. Yeah, and then because it is water,
rusty, nasty. I'm showing some products.
You need to get it dry, so it's the then.
Okay. All right, now.
Product, and it's the same.
Here we go.
So we'll spray this on.
So this is the first sequence coming up.
The other stuff's painted, and we got a lot of cleaning to do. So I'll be back in a bit.
See what I did? I used the glare. I used the glare again. All right, so in that scenario, what I did was I took the glare coming in from the window and I used it. And I'll play that again so you see. All right, let's see. So the idea, and it's still, there's a lot to be desired here, but I used the glare. I'll play it through again. See? Oh, did it again, see? Okay, so here is, so in that sequence, right, if you just took that one sequence, and what I did was the glare coming in the window, I didn't get the timing quite right because I never did anything like this before, but the idea was, okay, this glare comes in, what if that I use is like a transition to show the machine in a different state, in a fresher, nicer state, and I did it, what, 3 times, right? Now, let's just see how to run, how to power outage at work. So now I want to show you what I call mower ASMR, right? So for those of you that know what ASMR is, right, I'm going to show these sequences, and there's a couple of them coming up, so I'll try to get through them all. But it's what I call mower ASMR, and you'll understand why in a minute. Shut up, Spark! Shut up! Now this sequence took too long. So we'll go through it. See, it's taking too long.
Imagine if you could design products as quickly as your ideas flow.
But you get the point, right? I think I showed the cans of paint. I don't say anything. Like I said, it took too long, but you get the idea. Alright, putting the cable on. But so much of this could have been sped up. Alright, here we go. Now we'll get to the last step. That segment's going on too long. I tried doing a speed ramp. All right, it's too much. Okay, it's going on too long. But you kind of get the idea. There it is running. Okay, so it's running. All right. But you get the idea. Let me come back. And if you take these ideas, concept, right? Concept type video thing. The execution wasn't all that great. It was the first time I tried to ever do anything like that. And I took a lot of footage, which should have been shortened down even more. And I think this whole video is like 25 minutes. But it could have all been done in a much shorter period of time. And so it wasn't so much about how to remove rust or how to put a good finish on. Like, this is a concept video. If I had shortened it all and gotten it together and refined the footage, what you would have seen is this piece of junk come together in something nice, right? And if you wanted to see another video, a different video about how to do the valves or how to remove rust or trying out rust more or whatever, that could have been different videos. And I was reaching. This is new to me. YouTube was new to me. The cameras were new. The angles that I was shooting I'd never done before. I didn't know how long to hold something. I wanted to do a speed ramp where something speeds up and slows down and almost comes to a stop and vice versa. You know, all of those concepts are kind of going through my head, but I'm like, I did not know how to execute them all. And I want to go to Doc's site real quick because I want to show you now. Imagine some of that, the better highlights of it, and imagine it. You're looking at one of his bikes, and one in particular. Let me go find him. And something similar to that, without any talking. I didn't say. Me with the big mouth. I said nothing, which is a nice departure, right? I think for me, and I should. Here he is. Here, let me bring him up. Okay, so which is this one here? All right, the little Stingray, 167 views. Now, listen.
Some bolts, fender. So I might pop that spring off and see if I can't go find another one. But it is on and it does kickstand things, as you can see. It's working pretty well. I'm not sure how well it's going to continue to work when I put the engine on it, because it does seem to move around quite a bit. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go through a little bit more. It's a nice bike. The fender.
I got the fender off, as you can see, and I've already painted it. I just did a...
But we know all that, but he's going over something that we already know.
Over the dots. A little bit of...
Still on the fender.
You kind of have to do this weird dance to get them out, so...
Still on the fender, right?
From there to there.
And if you notice, there's some good stuff, and he does good work.
Measuring and get it.
And this is a hot bike.
Done really quick to give me some ideas on where that thing was.
And now he's trying to get to know him a little bit, which is fine. But that should be a separate segment lasting about a minute, or 2 minutes, or 5 minutes. Right? Let me come back. So the idea here is that if you spend too much time talking about it, he actually didn't do anything in that video, really. He didn't show him doing anything. So instead of spending, and it's not a long video, it's like 10 minutes or so, but you could compress all of that and imagine that bike, and he's throwing it together. It's similar to the ASMR that I'm talking about. And you're getting these wicked angles, and everything is flowing nice. That's a nice bike, right? And he's obviously a talented mechanic. He's interested in this stuff. And then maybe have at the end, not at the beginning, but at the end a little sit down, right? Getting to know the artist, formerly, known as, Doc Holliday, okay? And I'm just saying, you don't do this with every video, but imagine something like that. And I've seen other people do this, but again, the point I'm getting to is don't beleaguer a point. You're talking about this fender, it's up on the table for it seems like an eternity. At some point, nobody cares that the kickstand spring doesn't work right. You can mention all of that later on, but if you shove something, dynamic into somebody's face from the beginning of the video, and it's moving, and you're seeing these sexy lines and this cool stuff, and it's just a machine, but it's really cool, right? And you're like, that's cool. Who is this guy? Well, he doesn't tell you yet. You got to see some more of this stuff. He's producing product. He's delivering, the goods, right? He's adding value. And then later on, you're going to have the question, who is this guy? And then a little sit down, a little bit, a teaser. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. Stay tuned for the next one. We don't know what's coming next. He's talking about it, but we really don't know because you haven't really done anything. You haven't really... The meat and potatoes, and then do a video on how to tune it or how to physically bolt it on, or... but you need something really to attract people somehow or other, and they don't know you. What they really want to know is that bike, and they want to know, they want to see it, they want to feel it, right? They want to ride it. Somehow you need to give them that, is what I'm suggesting. Let me see what you guys said. Spork's well, we know what Spork said. Spork's making fun of me. I love it. I gotta read what he says. He goes, "You're telling me that I can just throw a piece of metal on the ground and get famous like Arch? That's awesome, Spork. Putting the dig in." All right. Brett says, "I've never done that in a video. Maybe I should throw a little of my backstory in." Yes, but here's a word: juxtaposition. You back up your little story with meat and potatoes first. Like we've talked about this recently, where you get into a video and the person is going through the advertisements, he's going through the like and subscribe, he wants you to join, I haven't even seen what you're doing yet, dude. If it's the first time I've seen somebody, I don't want to hear any of that. Don't do it at the beginning. Show me something, right? If you're really famous and you could get away with it, great. But how many of us are really famous? Like Mix Mowers, he has a very specific routine that he does. There's some variances, but he's been doing it a long time. He does a sit down and he talks about what they're going to be doing in this video. He doesn't go too long. And by the way, his format, the way that he does it, he's got great thumbnails. The way he does it works. So you can't argue with it. But he sits down for a very short period of time, tells you about what we're going to be doing in this video. He's very professional. And then you get into the video. And then he does a wrap-up at the end. Okay, now I don't always do a wrap-up. Honestly, I want to get more away from the wrap-ups. Fuck wrap-ups. Okay? Do something different. Some of my videos I don't do. I just let the video go at the end. It disappears. Because a lot of this, like I said, there's generalizations here. Because what works is what works, right? Nobody can argue with it. What we all have to figure out is what is that. Sometimes I don't do a thing on the end because I don't feel the need of the video needs it, and I'm like, you know what? Why? Right? I'm not going to beleaguer a point. You already saw the video. Why do I need to go over it all over again? Sometimes I'll do one when I'm really excited, like the one I just did. I really like that machine, and I just wanted to talk a bit about it at the end, and I thought it was a really good machine, and I really wanted to stress that because it is a good machine. I mean, how often do you see a Toro SR4 in what we do? An old one. In that beautiful shape. So I thought that one deserved a little bit of an outro. And I kept it pretty short. And I only asked like and subscribe quickly. Which I don't do all the time either. So every now and then I'm like, all right, you gotta throw, asking for a like and subscribe. Let's build the channel together kind of thing. Because you do need to say that once in a while. It's just don't overdo it. But remember, that might be a video that somebody comes to my channel because I'm a small channel. It's likely that it'll be their first time. Let's see. Brett says, "I always end my vids with please like and subscribe. Put your trust in the Lord and we'll see you folks." Yes, and I like that. There are a lot of Christians that have very specific ways of doing their thing, their shtick. And they don't shove it down your throat. But they want you to know, right? They may be conservatives. I don't care about Democrat, Republican. That's because that only exists here, right? That's just us here, and all that's garbage today because you can see it. We have one party. It's the Uni Party. What we don't have in the Uni Party, what we really have out there in the world is two modes of thinking, right? Whether you're left or right is what we really seem to have. And conservatives, a lot of conservatives happen to be Christians. I don't know too many left-wing, socialists that are Christians. I just don't know too many of them. There were a lot more years ago when they weren't really left-wing socialists either. But point being is, if you're a Christian, there's nothing wrong with saying it. Although nowadays you're going to find yourself probably persecuted for it because that's kind of what's happening today. So that's up to you if you want to do that. I don't see anything wrong with it. And if you're comfortable with saying it, say it. Because it's an identity. It's part of who you are. And there are people, like, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the people that do homesteading, they're Christians. I watch a lot of that stuff. They happen to be Christians, right? I don't want to get into the philosophy of it, and they will throw it. They don't lay it on you heavy, but they will throw it in there. It's part of personalization, right? You're bringing a personal view to something, and if you don't overdo it, and you'll know because you'll get stupid reactions from people, which is okay too if you don't mind that. That's a personal thing. You want to relate to people too at the same time, but it's to me, I think it's like something where I want to try to change. When I look forward to like coming up this year, the rest of the season, and into next year, like where do I want to take the channel? And that's what I'm suggesting is that don't be lazy. Like where can you take it? So when I look back at that old video footage that I just showed you, there were things that I liked about it, but most of it I don't like. It was a nice, cool machine. It came out good. I was new at it. I just got the new camera. I was exploring. I was reaching all of this nice stuff. But overall, in the 3-part series, the only part that really is successful is me working on the valves, where I just focus on the valves. Even though I like those other pieces and the segments, it wasn't mature. It wasn't a mature video. It was something that needed a lot of work. Just like the video needed a lot, just like the machine needed a lot of work. I needed to work on it. It's early me, which is only like 2 years ago, because I've only been doing it for about 3 years. So I'm willing to criticize it. Will I take the video off? No. Maybe one day I will. But I'll leave it there for now. It's under 1,000 views. I think it would have like 700 views or something. We'll leave it. People will bump into it. But there's a lot of wasted time in that video, and I think it's important to emphasize this point, right? It's not just for us. Remember that the poor victim, and I say victim because I always thought of this when I first started, how lousy my videos were. The poor guy, mostly guy, the victim that stumbles across, on my channel, and the worst insult that I have ever gotten is, "That's 15 minutes I'll never get back." So the most precious thing we have on this planet isn't love, isn't all that other nice stuff, isn't money, it's time. Humans don't live long. And nowadays they get sick and die anyway, and they live miserable lives or whatever because they're ill and they have issues. Just like me. So when somebody is investing their time into what you're showing, are you wasting their time? I mean, do the best you can, but always think in the back of your mind is that you really don't want to waste anybody's time here. YouTube is not about just being a hobby and then potentially falling into the two traps of it's the hobby excuse. And I say it's the hobby excuse because it could be, right? When we first start, it could be a hobby. We're not going to start with the idea that we're going to be great and we're going to rise to the rank. It could be a hobby. But even as a hobby, are you wasting somebody's time? Because you don't want to waste somebody's time. You really don't. That's painful. I've watched some stuff and I've looked at it and I'm like, well, that was a fucking waste of my time. I could have done something else. And then the wrong person will say something stupid. So watch your videos and go, am I actually, is this any value here? That's why I've gone back through a lot of mine and I've gotten rid of them. Because they were just practice, and I was trying, and I've had to even say to some people, even recently, for a couple of the older ones, and they'll criticize certain things. I'm like, well, that was one of my first videos. I'm sorry, but I did the best I could. Yes. There is an acceptance level that as we watch YouTube and the other social media that we all have to understand that there is going to be that out there. I understand it. I'm generating it, right? Crap, in a sense. But I've hit on a lot of videos where I'm like, okay, this isn't all that good, but I'm willing to watch it because of something. Well, what is that something? If you're willing to watch somebody else's video that isn't all that good, what is the thing that something that says, all right, maybe it's an older video. Some of these videos are 10 years old. The cameras weren't all that good. The audio wasn't all that good, but the subject matter. Always the subject matter seems to be the most important thing. No matter what tricks you do, whatever ideas you come up with, like I said earlier, that subject matter is like the most important thing. If you happen to hit on that, great. But we're also 10 years in or more, and you have to be thinking, there's a lot of competition out there today. There are people that are doing some wicked stuff. There's way more people doing this. The algorithms, because it's not one algorithm, the algorithms have matured. They're really filtering. And even if it's just a hobby, right? Can I not waste somebody's time? Can I do better than I did last time? Can I do better this year? And let it not be the excuse that I suck because it's just a hobby. Let that never be an excuse for any of us, because you will never get better, and you will be wasting your time, and you will be wasting the other person's time. You don't have to be great at it. Just start recording. But as you go through it, and like, wow, that guy did something cool, that girl did something cool. Maybe there's a way that I could do something similar to that, right? And like I said, a lot of people have given me these ideas, and I'm like, wow, that's a really good idea. Like Wayne, I was just talking about Wayne's idea. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off. I hope I can pull it off. It's kind of scary because I think it's a great idea from a person that knows a lot, an older guy with a son. He has a very successful YouTube channel. They have a very specific way of doing it. It's not my way, but it is their way, and it works. I can't argue with that. They use his cell phone mostly. They have a particular delivery, and I know his son won't change a lot of it because it's a combination that works. So can I do something with that idea, and will it have merit, and will I be able to pull it off? That's always scary whenever I go into something with that thought of like, well, how the hell is this going to work? Like, what is interesting? How would somebody else perceive this? I don't know most of the time. Fucking no clue. Let me catch up with you guys. All right, you guys, I'm caught up. So that's just what I wanted to go through. I think Doc is doing well. Let's see, he's at that view. He's got 82 subscribers. He's getting there, right? I remember back. His quality is good. The audio is good. I think if Spork says, about to take off, work is going to be busy. I just sent you a friend request on Discord. If you're willing to accept it, take care and have a good night. Oh, that's to one of the other fellas. Later, Spork. Go harass Visceral or something. He's probably out with his girlfriend. No, it's to you. To me? What do you mean? How did you send me a friend request? On what? I am your friend. Am I not your friend? Did I not friend you? Where? Where did you send it? He says, I'm not in Visceral's server anymore, so I can't mess. Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I'm on Facebook somewhere. Yeah, I have 2 different Facebook things. Relentless Discord. I mean, I'm not on Discord right now because it would beep in. So it would be beeping in, and my friend Usha will call me, and so I can't have Discord on when I'm doing a live. Plus, it's going to draw network bandwidth and shit. I'll catch up with you later, Sporky. I thought I was friends with you. I don't know. You're good. Whenever is good. All right, good. All right, brother. Yeah, I'm getting out here soon, too, about another 10, 15 minutes or so. But, yeah, I mean, just some ideas and some thoughts. It's the stuff that I like about YouTube, and it's the stuff I don't like. And it's hard to manage that all, right? And to try to figure it out. Yeah, Brett, I'm on Facebook. I'm on, I think Arch's Garage is the one that I generally use for everything else. I don't use it enough. That's another mistake I'm making. And I keep saying to myself, well, you need to put more stuff up on your Arch's Garage Facebook. And I don't follow through with it. I did some the other day, put up a couple of videos. and some people will watch it. And I think one of you fellas had mentioned that, I think it was Bleach, he put some stuff up on Facebook, and it helps, it actually does. And my metrics, some of my stuff does get shared off platform, and the metrics will show that. It's not a lot, but it's something. You know, and I'm not even exploring it and exploiting it. Like, I could do better with that. And I keep thinking about it, you know, and I'm like, well, do a little bit more. So I went in the other day and I put like a video or whatever in there, and I'm like, okay. And I don't want to just fill it up, you know, but I got to remember too, like if I release a video, I should decide, do I want this one up? Brett says, I'm on there just under my normal name. Gotcha. Yeah, we'll have to hook up. Well, we can also send each other, we can all send each other stuff through email too, because most of us, our email is on our homepage. And then you could share, like, you know, more, if you want to share more personal stuff, you know, do it that way, so you can control it. But Doc's a nice guy, and you know, some of these bikes, done well, done right, you know, you have that aesthetic, because, you know, I make lawnmowers nice and all, but lawnmowers don't have like an aesthetic, like per se, not like a motorcycle or a bike, or there's a different intrinsic value. Like, we like them because they're useful. Some are made really well, right? I like machines in general. They have value, like cash value. Like, we can do this for side money or for a regular full-time job. Yeah, I can meet Charlie and Minnie. Yeah, I've been putting a little bit more of Apollo in some of my videos because he wanders in a little bit more often this time of year. You know, so I see him in here. He's not a shop dog. Like, he doesn't want to be in the way. He doesn't like that. You know, he's not a shop dog. He belongs to the girls, right? You saw a little piece of him in that little video that I put up there with the music. So that was fun. Just kind of going through some of that stuff. I had fun with that. Just some ideas. I mean, I got tons of ideas. I can't show them all at once because I don't know how to do that. You know. And live is new for me, so I don't really. That's another thing. Is I said, well, I'll start trying to do some live. Now, live shows. If you're doing a news program, live is like your bread and butter. You know, just breaking news. You know, this just in: Biden tripped and fell. You know, again, up the stairs. Breaking news, right? So live is important in certain aspects of YouTube. In what we do, it's not, right? There's no money in live, there's no popularity in live. It's just not. Live and shorts are not the correct format for a lot of what we do. It doesn't mean they're not useful. First of all, live I get to hang out with you fellas, okay? And like I said, the people that are like watching my how-tos and they don't subscribe, they just get the 5 minutes of the thing that they wanted, but they help the channel. But they're not going to hang out, right? So live is very useful for other things, and the shorts are useful for certain things. Most shorts, unless you go viral, you won't really make any money on them, but they have a use, and it's new. So we don't really know how far some of this short stuff will affect us in the future if you're getting into YouTube or have been in it a while, you know, which is another thing, right? Like, you know, Brett, you've been in it for a while. Bleach has been in it for a while. He's starting to use shorts. Yes, plus it's fun. Yeah, it is fun at this point. Always fun. Never a dull moment with that man. Crazy. He's made our lives just insane. But it's not him, really. It's not. It's coming from the UN, but that's another story. So the shorts are kind of useful. I started doing some shorts. I need to do another one, but I don't. See, my problem is with a short is that I don't know how to think like a short. I don't think that way. I'm long-winded. I got a big mouth, right? Which is why I did that, you know, more ASMR video. I'm like, well, you got such a big mouth, right? What happens if you shut up? And what would you do with a video? And I thought, well, I'd have to do it like this. I'd have to do like more, like Spork says, right? Get famous by throwing metal on the ground and showing it. Right? Well, that's kind of neat, you know. Yeah, the demented Deb. Yeah, yeah. Brandon. Well, nobody's really getting into the Brandon thing anymore. I think I just kind of phased out a little bit. You know, people are like, enough with that. Right? Brandon and the Karens of the world, right? Poor Karen. I knew some Karens. They weren't like the Karens that, you know, in the memes, but her name was Karen. You know. So yeah, just some different ideas, like what you could do, and what I want to try to do, and now more recently I experimented with trying to do multi-camera views, right, and splitting the screen, and I thought, well, I don't know if that will work, or if people will like that, or if it's useful. The only way I'm going to find out is learn how to do it, which is going to take time. So some of them, I don't think I've released all of them yet. Some of them start off smaller, and then eventually I went to a split screen, and I tried some different views. Like, I don't really know, right? That's, unfortunately, that's the part of the hobby that's going to migrate in. But I thought on certain scenarios, right, it could be useful. Yeah, TJ says, yeah. Should be lol. So whatever we can do to kind of spice things up a little bit and set yourself apart. One of you fellas said, you know, what, getting known, right? How do you get known? How do you get known for who you are, right? Yeah, be forever trying to answer that question, I think, is the real key, and the takeaway is that if you be like a child, in a sense, that's kind of how I look at a lot of things. And like, wow, how do I keep this fun? How do I keep it interesting? I don't want to always do the same old thing. You know, what could I vary a little bit? Maybe I'll test out something in a video. I won't necessarily make the whole video like that, but maybe I'll test out a little something. How do I make them shorter? How do I make them longer? I'm always like trying to figure out, like, you know, is there another question I have? Every time I sit down, I'm like, well, what can I do? What can I? And my video edits, like, that's my thing, right? I like to play with the editor. That's my hobby, right? That might be part of the business and all, in a sense, but I do that more for me. I like the B-roll laying on top, and I like to mess with the audio, and I like to watch sequences and strange sequences, and I like to punch in and pull back out again. And you don't have to do any of that, because there are plenty of people that are very successful with just shoving the camera, right, on something, and somehow or other they just know how to make it them and real and still make it interesting, but they're doing something that keeps it interesting. And the question is, well, how did they get away with that? How did they do that? Again, just always asking questions. How does that work? You know, all of the ladies that I've ever been around, they won't watch TV or movies with me, because either I'm trying to figure out how the shot was made, or I'm catching them in some bullshit, and I'm like, yeah, that can't be. Right? And like, just watch the show. That's not going to happen like that. That can't happen like that. Why can't you just watch the show for what it is? Oh, look at that camera move. That was nice. I like that director. Can't you just shut up and watch the show? No. So, all right, fellas. It's getting late. All right, we've been at this for 3 hours. I want to thank everybody for putting up with my crap once again. And I had fun. And, you know, sorry I haven't been around a lot, but it's just been hot. I've been trying to work, and I'm getting old and screwed up. And at the end of the day, like a lot of us, right, it's so hot, you're working, and it's like, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you're just like, you know, you're just done, right? You want to just do something. And I get quiet, oddly, right? I actually get quiet, and I don't speak. You know, because I record a lot of stuff, and I don't even show most of it. I have tons of videos, and I have to speak in a lot of them, and then customers, right? And then occasionally, well, fortunately, my family doesn't like to talk to me, but the dog doesn't talk to me either. So then I can go into my little quiet time in my hidey hole where I just don't say anything. Like today, I was hanging out a little bit online with my friend Brian Kerf, and you know, he was gaming, and I said hi to them, and then we found some time later on, and usually on the weekends we'll try to chat about stuff in the world or whatever. And he's a brilliant, you know, retired lawyer and everything else, and he's just a brilliant man, and he knows a lot. He's a little older than me, and we get into some good conversations, and so I try to catch up with him for a little while. But then after I talked to him for a little while, I'm exhausted because he's really smart. So it kind of sucks everything out of my brain, And Brett says, good night. Good show tonight, Arch. Always enjoy coming and hang out. Yes, and Brett, that's why, like I said, grease, no grease. That one part, by the way, I was like, what I thought was funny was when I got to a point and I said, oh, geez, fellas, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this. That was genuine, right? That was actually like a genuine thing. I was really having that moment. Because yet another fellow had said to me on one of my older videos, like, because you put grease, you, with the grease, you need to stop that. All right, I'll see you guys later. No grease, no!